guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hot, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, and we bring you match day live as we build up as Tottenham have an important fixture today against the Tin Pot Toffees and Fat Frank, and we need 3 points to keep the pressure on top and just to keep our momentum going. As you can see today, we are joined by the one and only Jack Kanicki, the one and only Godfather, and Mr. Daigle. I promise you will be joining us today. He's just out walking a doggy, then he'll be back in and he will be hopping on. Jack, old lad, how are you keeping? Big game today, brother.
Big game today. Normally, like you said, Dave, we treat it kind of like a Tin Pot Club, the likes of Everton, but I don't know. I don't really like Fat Frank. It's a little bit personal for me, and I know it's a little bit personal for Welsh Gal as well. It's just ever since he's come to the Premier League, he's always just had a bit of too much confidence, I feel like, a bit too much kind of I would just say boastfulness. In fact, I think it was quite quick into kind of his tenure at Chelsea, quite quick into his tenure at Everton, where he was throwing players under the bus as if he'd already won 4 Champions Leagues. It felt like, he's throwing players under the bus more than Jose was. And he wasn't even really doing it with any sort of like tactfulness or grace. Like we even spoke about a lot, the mind games and the very calculated, I think Philip said the other day, very calculated that the way that Conte does it, the way Fat Frank does it, it's just mean, bullish, like just unnecessary, just kind of highlights just, I think, how much he hates losing and how much he's willing to blame others instead of himself. I just really don't like the guy, Dave. So I really hope we give him another 5-0 pounding.
Yeah, it'd be absolutely nice. I mean, stick that on your CV, Frank, you dick. But I cannot wait. But Philip, Philip, my man, you know the importance of a win today, brother. I mean, how are you feeling?
Yeah, how do I follow that now? Let me see. I'll back up what Jack's saying is Frank Lampard played for Chelsea, and that's enough for me, right? So leave it at that. No, I must say I'm very confident about today. I normally get very nervous about matches, but I'm no nervous about this one. I just feel that we're gonna have a good win this afternoon.
And do you know what, Philip? I hope that confidence starts rolling forward into other games where we could be a bit more confident in ourselves rather than building these teams up to be Real Madrid and Bayern Munich and everything else. So hopefully we do get the job done today. But look, as you know, we like to welcome you guys into the chat before we get into it because we want to keep you involved. So we're going to see who is with us today. T.O. Isaac, good, always, nearly first in, always. Big legend. Up, T.O. Deserves a medal, outstanding service, T.O. We've got Faz Radbar, who has that channel badge beside his name, another one with outstanding service. So big up, lads, my favourite Spurs channels. You respect all views, whether they agree with you or not. You never disrespect or ridicule fans' views. We are up for a 3-1 win. Harry Kane, hat-trick. Come on, you Spurs. Look, like I said before, everybody pays to support this club, whether it's your TV channels you need anywhere across the world to watch the game, whether you go to games or whether you buy merchandise. You pay to support this club, so you also have the right to have your opinions, and everybody is allowed opinion. I've said this before. Everybody sees football through a different lens. Everybody sees life through with different eyes, and at the end of the day, everyone's going to come out with different opinions. Not everyone's going to see everything the same, and that is the beauty of life, and that is the beauty of your fucking beautiful game.
Love that. As much as we promote that, though, Dave, it's thanks to people like Dark Sun G, Dermot, Wembley, Welsh Gal, etc., that also make it an easy place to, not feel like you're going to get attacked in the comments either. So
you're putting yourself into a league you can't come out of there, Jacko, naming names. There's so many names, many.
Yeah, I'm leaving too many out.
THFC till I die. Dermatron, another one with some outstanding service. Good day to you, sir. Oh, when the Spurs go marching in, big up. Honestly, Dermo, I'm just after having a coffee. I don't have the vocals quite yet. Come back to me in an hour and I'll probably absolutely belt something out my man like I'm the front man of AC/DC. We've got Jack Goff in the house. Followed you back on Twitter today, brother. He says, big up David, Jack, and everyone in the chat. I'm confident we win by 3-0 today. Come on, you Spurs. Absolutely love that. Dark Zone G's in the building. Whoop, whoop. Big up Dark Zone G. Says, come on, you Spurs. Let's win today and hope City beat Liverpool. That would be absolutely unbelievable. Actually, I'll be honest. I hope Liverpool beat City, if I'm being brutally honest, because, look, Liverpool is so far away at the minute. I would actually rather them beat City so that City get a loss to their name so we can catch up with them even a bit more, Dark Zone G. So that would actually be good for me.
I feel like Dark Sun G is basking and, watching, the Outlad. He's watching the Outlad just rip his own hair out every single week. So to be fair, that must be glorious to watch. But the same time, Dave, like I have a lot of Liverpool friends, and it's pretty nice at this moment in time to just see them really just scrambling and just see them, no longer have that sort of, like we said earlier with Fat Frank, that kind of just unnecessary confidence, that unnecessary, boastfulness. And it's kind of nice to see them, sort of humbled a bit this season. As much as I also despise Man City, I guess maybe this is what it took. So I'm not sure which one I like more. Maybe a draw.
A draw? Yeah, I'd settle for a draw. To be honest with you, look, Jack, I'm very friendless at the minute. I text my friends, and I'm like, look, I want to do something today. I want to go and shoot some food. I can't, Dave. I'm in morning. I'm like, yeah, okay, fair enough. I'll leave you more. In fact, I'll come around and I'll help you more and keep morning. Hopefully, Liverpool get back. But no, honestly, a draw would be absolutely ideal. Dark Song G, big yourself up. We've got Welsh Girl. We've also got Dagan in the back end, so we'll bring him in just a minute. Got Welsh Girl this afternoon, lads. Let's hope the mighty Spurs teach Fat Frank a lesson today. Hashtag Harris Army. Come on, you Spurs. Big yourselves up. Big up, Welsh Girl. Good to see you in the building. Legend. Nick Hermalock is also with us. Great to see you, Mick. He says, good afternoon, Jack and Dave. Philip just must not be there, Jack. Or Mick. Big up, Mick. Leon N96. Leon 96 Kai says, big up everyone, hopefully a good result today, en route to the lane. Now, can't wait. Leon, make sure you sing the boys to victory. Big yourself up, my man. It's raining over here, don't know what it's like over there, but hopefully you don't get too wet, my man. But make sure you enjoy your day most of all. We've got John from the Cheese Room. Big up, John. I hope you're keeping well. He says, hi guys. We've got Maria Williams. I'm just waiting to leave to go to my favourite place in North London. Come on, you Spurs. Another one going to the game. Well, enjoy it, Maria. Enjoy it. Have a good day. And like Leon, make sure you sing the boys to victory. We'll bring Daigle in and then we'll keep getting on with some of the guests. Daigle, I love the green, my man. You must be fresh today. How are you keeping?
Well, mate, first of all, apologies to you all for Thursday. At the moment, as you two of you know, I've got a lot of stuff going on right now. But what I can promise you is I could be held at gunpoint next Thursday, and I'll be saying, before you shoot me, I have a panel show to do. I've got to do this. So I will be there, come rain or shine. And talking of rain, it's starting to piss down here in Toronto. But apart from
loving the jacket, though. Loving that jacket.
Mate, you know what? This was actually a gift from Bobby K to me. It's actually a Boston Celtics one.
Yeah, I saw that part. That part's
Bobby K gave it to me. Now, I don't wear a lot of green, but I have to say, this is damn warm and damn comfortable. So, you just caught me coming back from walking the dog. So,
good man.
Yeah, before people say, where's Simba? I'm dog sitting for a friend right downtown. And David see my wonderful view of where I am, right downtown by the CN Tower. I apologise for Thursday. I'm very happy to be able to come on this Saturday.
No, it's all good. From now on, just hide the Boston Celtics crest. But when you're on here, you've got to wear the Irish colours, my man. Big yourself up.
I'll buy more green, especially for you, David.
It looks comfortable.
Love it. Love it. We've got Lewis Parks in here. He says, going for a big 5-1 today. Feeling a Kane or Son hat-trick. Look, they're both back in form, my man. Let's continue it today. I'm feeling goals today, brother. Dax OG says Leeds will win tomorrow and Newcastle will beat Man United. Come on, you Spurs, Jack. Big up, Dax OG.
Ted Lasso versus the Lego Man tomorrow.
Wembley one says, afternoon, boys. I certainly like us more in the late kickoffs than those nightmare lunchtime starts. Look, I said it before. It's not nice. Not nice whatsoever. Can we start proving today that we cannot and will not take our feet off the pedal as we did on Wednesday? 100%. That's a huge thing, my man, and we will be talking about that. Good to see you, Wembley. CF says, woke up feeling great today. Big win, big Jed appearance. Let's go, Irish Hotspur. It'd be nice to see Jedi today. And we have a question on that as well. We'll take a few more, and then I'm going to crack on into it. Dan Coy says, missed the home fixture last season, so really looking forward to today. Big yourself up. Enjoy the game, brother. I hope you have a good time. It's mad how many people tune in on their way to the game. It's brilliant. Ben Snow, Everton have been good defensively. Apparently, I'm predicting a 2-0 Spurs win. Yeah, after the United game, I think they got the third tightest defence in the league. I dare them to play a high line today. I dare them. They don't have the pace. It's that simple. We'll kill them. Paddy Harnett says, good morning, you Irish. 3 Irish Eppers. Yes, Jack, you are now officially Irish as you spend more time with Dave than your US friends. Very, very, very true. We're going to have to get Jack a passport soon, Paddy. Big yourself up, brother.
Yeah, honorary citizen for now. Thank you, Paddy. Appreciate it.
We've got this here from Joseph. Then we've got one from Adrian Chia. And then we're going to crack on, guys. But Joseph says, big up you guys in the whole Spurs community. 3-4-3, Richie against his old club, or 3-5-2 for numbers in the middle against their tree. Looking forward to being at the game today. Guys, Pick yourself up. Make sure you go and enjoy the day, my man. I tell you what I'll do. I'll answer this one because I've actually got a question similar. So I'm going to wait for the boys to answer. But on this one,
now's
I'll be
your chance,
tossing and turning all night on this, Joseph. It's kind of like, for me, we create a lot more in the 3-4-3. I think Højbjerg and Bentancur are good enough to go up against Anana, Gaye, and who's that other fumbling idiot in there? Oh, yeah, it will be that ex-Arsenal goon. So, I think that our midfield are definitely good enough to go up against them. But we know Richarlison has a bit of a knee problem coming out in the Frankfurt game. So is he fit enough to play? Does he risk Lucas Moura, who's only back a week? Kulusevski is out now again. We don't know whether he'll be back for the United game. So it's kind of like, I'll be honest, I do see us going 3-5-2 today for that reason, because our forward players all have sort of knocks. But I would much rather see the 3-4-3. I'd like to see Richarlison play today and give him a chance against his former club. Sometimes that can make you just come into a game with a different mindset altogether and you go out and boss it. So I would like to see the 3-4-3. But I do fear we'll go with the 3-5-2 because of our attacking options, Joseph. But if we go 3-5-2, expect there to be not as many chances as we created against Frankfurt, in my opinion. 3-4-3, we create way more chances than we do in the 3-5-2. But big up, Joseph. And we switched to the 3-5-2 against Frankfurt, and it was to our detriment. So, 3-5-2 isn't exactly the answer, but we'll wait and see. But big up, Joseph. Really appreciate support, and make sure you enjoy that game.
Very game by game.
And see the boys on to victory.
Yeah, makes it a great question because I think it's become very game by game whether you use the 3-4-3 or the 3-5-2. So it's always a good question. Always a good question.
Adrian Chia says, game day, lads, spaghetti sauceberg with extra sauce. I mean, honestly, it should be triple sauce today from Sauceberg, my man. Absolutely love what he's doing lately. Like I said to people, it's now Zinedine Sauceberg, and if you call him by any other name, it's incorrect. It's got to be Zinedine Sauceberg with what he's doing.
I think it's easier to spell that way. I think easier to spell Zinedine than Pierre. Sometimes Pierre can be a bit tricky. Højbjerg, we all know, can be a nightmare to spell. Sauceberg is a lot easier. I think he should legally change it to that, Dave, with how he's been playing.
He should be actually his legal birth name from now on. But big up, Adrian Chia, brother. Really appreciate the support. But look, we're going to get into it, guys. Everyone, you've been very, very, very good lately, actually, at smashing that like button. So keep smashing that like button. It's something free you can do that really helps push the content out into the algorithm to more and more people to enjoy the content that you guys enjoy. So make sure you hit that like button. And guys, also, keep smashing that subscribe button. The push for 9K is on. Let's see how close we can get. And like Adrian Chia, like Dark Sunji, like Joseph, guys, feel free to get in a super chat with your thoughts. We'll all have a good discussion on it. And hopefully you enjoy what we have to say on your thoughts. But don't be afraid to do it. Highlights it, skips you to the bottom of the queue, and we'll get straight to it. But also, we understand it's a big, bad world out there. Cost of living has gone up. It doesn't matter whether you're buying toilet roll or food. Everything's gone up. So just keep getting your comments in and we'll bring them up as we go along. But Jack, I believe there's a
Moondog in here gifting a membership to Jeff Ives. He's gifted a fan show membership to Jeff Ives. Moondog has. I think it's maybe he's already getting a bit ahead of himself, thinking maybe the Dyer bet has already come through here, Moondog. But I would just say, keep steady. But he's probably thinking, last Dyer bet of the year. Last Dyer bet, maybe forever. Who knows? Moondog, I wish you all the best of luck. And I do kind of pray that Moon Boots at least delivers this time for you because he's always delivered when you haven't bet on him. And maybe if this is the very last bet on Moon Boots, I hope he delivers for you. Big up, Moondog. Appreciate it.
Love it. Big up, Moondog. Really appreciate that comment, man. I hope it comes into you for you today. You've been unlucky, brother. But look, guys, everything you need to know, of course, at home, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 5:30 p.m. kickoff. Referee is Paul Tierney, and in the VAR room, they've got Andre Mariner. I'm a bit worried that they're bringing in the experienced guys. It makes me think they're going to try and cook something up here this evening. So I'll be a bit worried on that, to be honest with you. And then the TV channels, guys, Sky Sports for UK and Ireland viewers, and NBC for the USA, and not the Zone. Brian, what's the other one for Canada?
Fubo
TV, useless name, stupid name, not even catchy.
Stupid name, stupid service.
Tell him to change the name. It's not good enough. So Football TV for the Canada guys. And Watch Along guys starts here at 5 p.m. It's myself, Jack, and Shawnee. So make sure you tune in for that. Great vibes during the week. Great vibes last weekend. Let's go at it again today. Injury news, of course, Kulusevski out with his hamstring today. Emerson suspended. We'll touch on Kulusevski a bit later on. Bit doubtful for the United game as well, which is a blow. Everton, well, they've got Anthony Gordon out with suspension, Mason Holgate out with the knee, Nathan Patterson out with the ankle, which means Coleman will be starting. Nowhere near the player he was. Yerry Mina with his knee, Ben Godfrey with his calf, and Andras Townsend out with his knee. So they have a few injuries today. But Everton are on good form. They lost the first game for the first time in 7 games against Man United. So they have been in good form and they have improved since last season. So it'll be a tough enough game today, but we should get the job done. But Jack, we'll start with Philip. Philip, Tottenham have won 7 successive Premier League home games, the best run since a 14-match streak between November 2016 and May 2017. And that was our final season at White Hart Lane, where we actually went unbeaten all season at that stadium. And we finished second in the league. Can we replicate the home form from that season into this season? And if we do, does that mean it automatically catapults us into a title race?
Well, I mean, I've been banging on about the home form has to be good or to turn the stadium into a fortress since way before the start of the season. And I think so far they've done it. I mean, they've won every home game so far. Some more convincingly than others, obviously, but that's what title challenges are based on, your home form. Get a win every match away from home and get the occasional win and points away from home, and you're in a title race. And I think it's great now. I think the only time we've been beaten since last April was the Brighton match that I was at with Ollie back in April. We've won every game since then. You know, not even drawing games, we're winning games at home, and we're winning.
So you are good luck charm, Philip.
Well, I don't know about that, you know, but I bet that. Well, of course, yeah. I went to the Leicester game and we scored 6, so you know, maybe I am. I don't know. Well, no, it is important to keep the home form going. Like 16-17 was brilliant. We had 17 wins and 2 draws in the league, and the only 2 teams that took points off us was Leicester and Liverpool. So we blew everybody else away that season, and we're starting to do it now in our own quiet, unassuming way, where we're not even playing that well, but we're still beating teams. So that's why I think Everton came to us last season in March, and they were a pretty rag order at that stage, and we blew them away. And that'll be in the back of their minds today when they come on the pitch. Even though they're playing better, they'll know what could be wrong with them today. If they play a high line, we'll destroy them. We will destroy them because they've got no pace at the back. And so I can see. Do we actually equal the record today, or do we beat it?
So the record is 22 points. If we win today, that puts us on 23. So we beat it.
That's the best ever start in the Premiership season. Can't ask for more. Can't ask for more.
No, that you can't. That you can't, my man. 88-7 Gaming. Good to see you in the building, brother. But no, look, our home form has been absolutely sensational, and hopefully we can continue it, because you go unbeaten or you go close to unbeaten at home, it will catapult you into a title race just naturally with the amount of points you've accumulated. So let's keep that tradition going. Let's go and get that win and keep it going. But Brian.
Yes,
Brian, how are you keeping, my lad? So many have criticised our transfer business this summer, but victory would give Spurs their highest points tally after 10 Premier League matches, surpassing their haul of 22 points in 2011-2012. Does this actually show the opposite? The fact our transfer window was good, and this start is a reflection of that.
I don't know if you can. Don't get me wrong. It's certainly got a part in it. When you look at people like Richarlison that have had a lot of minutes, he would probably have the most. Perisic has been in and out. Lenglet's been in and out. And Bissouma's started to come in and out. I think a lot of this is what Antonio Conte does. If you look at it, when Antonio Conte came in, and if anyone wants to say, right, Ben Davies and Eric Dyer will turn out to be the best or get the best out of them that we've ever seen of them, you would have been like, what are you talking about? Because you would have thought they were sure to be out. You would have thought they were absolutely sure to be out. You look at the players we've got out and the bad eggs as well. That's got a huge part to do with it as well. Don't get me wrong, the incomes have had certain things to do with it, but with Antonio Conte, there's no mucking about. There's no messing about. And Ndombele, Dele Alli, Lo Celso, amongst others, we knew that they weren't good. They weren't going to play, and they weren't good for the club and in the environment, the training ground. There's no doubt that these players have had an impact. But if you look at it, Richarlison's only got 2 goals, period. Yes, he's played well. Don't get me wrong. I'm a fan of his. Last couple of games, I said he's had bouncy castles for football boots because his first touch has been so bad. Basuma's started to have an impact, but I think it's more about Conte and the outgoings that have done it than the incomings. But there's no doubt they've had something to do with it. But I wouldn't say it's all because of it.
So do you think then maybe it's more Conte performing miracles?
I would be more inclined. Like, listen, everyone would think I would say this answer, so I don't want to give that man any credit. But it's that's not what this is about. If you look at it, Richarlison was brought in to score goals. We've played 11 games, including Champions, maybe more than 11, including Champions League. He's scored 2 goals. He's created 1 in that assist. Don't get me wrong, he's changed the game. But that's not a huge thing. You've got to look at my person that I said let's drop last week, Harry Kane. Harry Kane has scored. If Haaland wasn't in the league, he would be getting all the plaudits for the goal record he's got at the moment. Apart from, like I said, David, I have to say this to you. If we do get Googler's naming rights, the first thing we should do is use Google Earth to find out where Harry Kane's penalty landed, because God knows where that ended. But yeah, I'm more on the part that Conte is performing wonders with this squad. Don't get me wrong, like I said, it's had an impact, but we haven't seen those players. If we'd seen Basuma, Richarlison, Longley every single game, and Richarlison had been in the goals, Basuma had locked down the midfield, then of course you got a point. But right now it's bits and parts they're playing, really, isn't it?
Interesting. I mean, Jack, Philip, you're sitting there praying to God. Do you agree? Do you disagree with that?
I mean, the way I look at it is we're going for a record points haul without ever really reaching the heights that we've reached towards the back end of last season, right? The new players aren't bedded in fully yet. Some of them haven't even got a game yet. And I think when the time comes, if Richarlison, be a lovely way for him to start today if he's playing a score against his old team. Yeah. But once these players start getting in, bedded in, and we start playing better, I think it's a huge positive for us, because there are teams that are playing better than us are far further down the league. So when we start playing better, we're going to be top 3, I think, for the foreseeable future. How the World Cup break interferes with it, I just do not know. But we'll have to wait and see, because with so many players going to the World Cup, I tell you, we'll be saying the rosary every night, hoping none of them get injured, because 13 players going probably. And that's an awful lot, And just one thing I just noticed there, this will be up your alley, David. If Harry Kane plays today, which is a gimme he's playing, he's only the 14th player to make 400 appearances for Spurs. And in that time, he scored only 10 goals short of Jimmy Greaves' record. So, my God, that's just something else.
Do you know what, Philip? I'm actually going to take a different approach to my support for Harry Kane. He knows I'm a big fangirl. But what I'm going to do now, I'm not even going to big him up. I'm just going to sit back and let all the records he breaks speaks for himself from now on. As soon as someone brings them up, I'm just going to be like, yeah, look, kind of expected it. It's nothing new here. It's just run-of-the-mill Harry Kane stuff. We've got to start putting respect on his name. But Philip, is the start a reflection of our transfer window, though? That's what I want to know. Would we have this start without having the likes of Basuma to fill in at times, Richarlison to fill in at times, Langley to fill in at times, Perisic? Would we have this start without them?
Can I just say one thing before Philip answers, just very, very quickly, because Philip said something I want to add to that. It's a very good point. With the World Cup coming, he's going to have a full month or however long the players that don't go get to spend. And then he's going to get a serious amount of time to look at Spence and a serious amount of time to work on Basuma. Once the World Cup comes back, they could have a huge impact on the rest of the season. Then I can answer that question. Yes, this transfer window helped us achieve our end goal. I just don't think right now we can say it's achieved where we are now. Sorry, Philip. I'll let you go now.
Yeah, where was I?
So basically, I was saying,
I don't know. Even
without Basuma dropping in, without Perisic dropping in, without Langley stepping in, etc., etc.
But to be honest with you, the main players this season so far have been the old brigade that we had last season. Really, with all we've got so far, we've got Basuma has only been a bit part player. As Brian said, Richarlison scored twice in the Champions League. He hasn't scored yet in the Premiership. Jed Spence hasn't even got a kick. Longley is in and out with Ben Davies. So really, the real reason that the main reason we are where we are is down to the players that were there last season. With some assistance from the new boys, but not nearly as much as they are going to be able to contribute, as Brian rightly said there, after the World Cup. When the boys that haven't been going to the World Cup, when Conte gets his claws into them for a month, we'll see a completely different attitude coming back after the World Cup, providing we don't get Harry Kane doesn't do his ankle, or any of the other players that are going come back injured. That's good. That's my biggest fear.
And Jack Spaghetti Slayer makes a point here. He says the fact we don't have to rush players back from injury shows we had a good window. I mean, I never even thought of looking at it like that. What's your thoughts on what he says here? It's not a bad point.
I think there are plenty of areas of the squad where now we can kind of rest comfortably at night, knowing that if there is an injury there, we can get by for a month and a half, pretty solidly, and still pick up plenty of points and not be absolutely, in a state of despair like maybe other teams would be. I still agree, though, with Daigle, where there are probably still spots of the squad where maybe you wouldn't say that. Like if maybe parts of center back, like what even Brian or what what Conte said yesterday about Eric Dyer, how much that is a specialist position to him, how much he really loves that central center back position, how kind of, what would you say, unique it is, how specialized it is. He basically said he doesn't really have the best quality backup there yet. So that's a good example of maybe a spot where obviously Spurs still need to address. But at the same time, you look at midfield, like we have 2 or 3 different players that can fill in for our lovely Højbjerg. I don't think they could fill in for the levels that Højbjerg has been putting in right now, but at least we know that we actually have, for once, adequate backup for the likes of Højbjerg. Whereas before, I mean, Dave, I don't want to make you kind of shudder here or anything, but it would have been Harry Winks would have been, the backup for Højbjerg. Just last season, only last season, that would have been the backup for him. So it shows how much we've already progressed in those areas. When you look at now left wing back, last season at left wing back, it was a Reguilón that really a lot of fans started turning on, as well as Conte started turning on. And it was just a Sessegnon. Now we have the likes of Perisic who can compete there as well. Now you look up top. I mean, I believe asking a lot of people last season, Dave, like, oh, what type of number 9 do you want into this team? Do you want a guy like Sonny who can kind of play across the forward line, but sort of can play striker, not really? Or do you want like a true number 9 that can back up Kane as well as challenge Kane? And everybody said, I want that true number 9. And I think at the time it was like, oh, I want Vlahovic. I would rather have Vlahovic than these other guys. And I think we've sort of achieved that with actually Richarlison. We've gotten a version of that where we paid big for a guy that we know can play excellent as a number 9, who's proven as a number 9. And he has the benefit of being able to sort of play elsewhere. I even think the right wing position that I've said to you before, Dave, is kind of like his 4th best position really anyway. You kind of have to sometimes give him a bit of a break, knowing that that really isn't his true kind of position where he is going to excel. I think he's kind of improving on it day by day or improving on it game by game. I just think a lot of people maybe have to take into account that Conte is still maybe missing some players in certain areas, but at the same time, we have a lot more backup and a lot more quality in other areas, especially the backup number 9, which it feels like had been the unsolved, mystery for Spurs for like 5, 6, 7 years as well. And finally, we solved that problem. And I guess it took Paratici to solve that problem as well.
100%. Dave, I'll be with you in 1 second. I know I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring that comment up.
No, I wanted to actually mention something. Jack said, Spaghetti Slayer said about rotation very quickly. It was like, yes, we have in midfield, and yes, we have a Richarlison, but you look at Christian Romero. When he got injured, and we know he's come back and he hasn't been the Christian Romero, and he had a weak game, and he became a talk on not just our channels, but in the media. He came back too quickly. So I understand Spaghetti Slayer saying, yeah, we've got rotation, especially up front, left back, right back, whether you like him or not. We've got 2 players. Midfield, we've got 4. Yeah, Romero and Dyer, if they get injured, it's Davinson Sanchez.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, look, I agree. Look, there's certain parts from the transfer window for me that I wasn't happy. Everyone knows about the defense. I'm not going to bang on about it, even though I would say I've sort of been proven right this season. I'm not going to bang on about it. But what I will say is, obviously, there's areas that we didn't do that maybe we could have done. But at the end of the day, we have improved this squad. If we had some of the players that went out injured this season, and we had players that we had as backup last season coming in, we would be nowhere near where we are right now. We just wouldn't. So I do think it is a reflection of the transfer window and bringing better quality in here. And I think we have to get to a point where we have to recognize the work we've done in the last 2 transfer windows. Last January, many people are upset with it. And look, I can understand it. But, I think I was the only one at the time that said, hang on here. We've had a good window. We've corrected a lot of mistakes from the past. And I think it'd be enough to get us top 4. It got us top 4. Still not enough praise put on the January transfer window. Then this summer, if we're being brutally honest, we needed 15 players in here. So to get 6 in done, I think, to be fair, as a building block going forward, I think it was a decent win. It wasn't the best win, no, because we could have done more. But I do think the start we've had is a reflection of that. I think if we're being fair on it. But Ben Snow makes a point here, and he says, for me, one of the more disappointing parts of the transfer window was how many players we need to sell and only went out on loan. But look, I get it. But where you can label the criticism at the club, in my opinion, is bringing the guys in here on the big money they did, on the big wages they did, and
making
the way
them unsellable,
playing for Tottenham Hotspur. But what you can't do is blame someone like Paratici, because what's he supposed to do? He's brought in here to clean up this mess. There's a pandemic. Money is tight all around Europe. That's why you've seen a lot of swap deals happen this summer with some clubs, because there was no money around Europe. So finances have been affected. So clubs are more stringent with how they're spending their money. Why would they waste money on Ndombele when there's nothing there proven to say, oh, he's going to come in here and do a good job? They're always going to take him on loan first. It's just smart business. Yeah. Same with Lo Celso. Villarreal wanted to buy Lo Celso. They didn't have the cash. That's why they ended up doing a swap deal with Watford days before they ended up doing a loan deal for Giovanni Lo Celso. So, again, another player had to sell. We only had one good month at Tottenham under Jose Mourinho. So there's not a market out there where people are going to gamble on him.
Nobody wanted Winks.
Regulon, I think we could have sold. I'm disappointed we didn't sell him. I think we could have got cash for him. Harry Winks, I've said it all along. People are putting 25, 30 million. No, because he's a Tottenham guy. I mean, people aren't going to play because he's had a good attitude in the training ground because he's a Tottenham guy. They're not going to say, oh, that justifies 30 million. He has to prove it on the football pitch. So what manager is going to look at Winks and say, oh, he's the guy to strengthen my midfield. I'm going to put cash on him and bring him in. He's going to solve my problems. None. In fact, we've loaned him out to Sampdoria, and look how that's gone. So we have to understand that where you blame the club is where they did spend the big money on bringing in these guys. But for me, I don't think you can blame Paratici for loaning them out, because he had to do something to get them out of the door. Go on.
No, I've got with this now. Everyone gather round, because you're not going to hear this very, very often from me. There is a Levy compliment coming in to prove that there is a Levy. So take a deep breath.
Did you have tea or coffee this morning?
To say that, but then it's going to be followed with a criticism. Listen, and I've said this all along, when it comes to selling our star asset, a Gareth Bale, a Luka Modric, so on, he is the best in the world. The very best in the world at draining every single penny that he can out of the person. I've said so much. If I ever was to get a divorce from Ilana, I want Daniel Levy to hold my divorce hearings, because he'll get my Ilana's new husband to give me payments. That's how good he is at fucking doing shit. But you heard it right. When it comes to selling our star asset, he is the best in the world. Where he's flawed is a couple of seasons ago, he has no idea how to deal with the market apart from the upper levels. The year before, like you said, stupid money, he wanted 40 million for Harry Winks. In what world is Harry Winks worth 40 million? What should have happened is whoever was back, I think it was Poch, it may have been Jose, if he had said, listen, get 15 million for him, I can use it for new players, get him gone, he would have been gone. If Sissoko at 30, he wanted to recoup 30 million back from Sissoko. It wasn't going to happen in a million years. So it's about getting them off the wage bill and out the door. And if you're not going to put money into the club, which what they do is what they do, then the money that you say everything will generate stays within the club, the manager gets to use other players. Ndombele, you're right. I don't see how you can possibly sell him, because he was not starting whatsoever. That I get. But throughout his tenure, there have been players at mid-range, not star assets, that he has put ridiculous, never going to happen transfer fees on it. So they stay along. And then what happens? He gives them new bloody contracts. Yeah. So where Daniel Levy is flawed, Ndombele and Lo Celso, you're right. You can't do anything for it. Regulon, he should have been able to get money for. He should have been able to. He certainly should have been able to take money with.
That's one I would have banked on. I would have banked on being able to sell.
Yeah, before we were trying to sell Harry Winks didn't have a Spurs career for 2-3 seasons. But in what world is he going for 40 million? In what world? So that's where he's flawed in this, because he could have just got rid of him off the wage bill It may have been way undervaluation and we may have lost money, but it would have gone to the new manager, whoever it may be, to put towards a player he did want and so forth. But like I said, when it comes to selling their top asset or our top asset, there is no one better in the world.
Well, we seem to be not selling them over the last few years, which is an even better improvement.
Exactly.
But we've got a comment here from Old Soul. He says, biased opinion from me, Kane is supreme hybrid striker elite, but also unselfishly dropping back to link play better than any other striker out there, including Haaland. Look, this is the thing. We're only going to realize once he's gone, once he's retired, that what player are we going to get to come in here and win the amount of area duels he does, hold up the ball the way he does, get spun and play people in behind the way he does, the range of passing he has, the range of shooting he has. We really don't understand how good this guy is. But also, it is great to see you in the building. I was actually only thinking about you the other night. So it's good to see you in. And I hope you're doing okay, buddy.
Hopefully he's eating well as we know he can. Hopefully you're eating well.
Just had a thought there about the 40 million for Harry Winks. He could have been quoting that price in Zambian kwaches, which would make him worth 2,560 quid.
That's too expensive still, man. That's a rip-off.
Well, that was the original club that was going for him, but he ended up going to Sampdoria, Philip. He took Sampdoria instead.
Oh, I love it. That's brilliant. Daxon G, he says, how is Winks and Reggie still injured? Tanguy doing well at Napoli with trophy turns his loan into a permanent. Hope Giovanni Lo Celso doing well so we can sell in Jan. Yeah, look, well, I would say just Winks is coming back to the club. Could end up happening in January if I'm being brutally honest. Reggie, look, it is what it is. He's had injury problems at Tottenham as well, to be fair. So, again, maybe that's why we haven't been able to sell him, because he's just not fit for a full season. Tanguy, I hope he continues to do well at Napoli. But what I don't want to see is Spurs fans saying, oh, hang on, let's bring him back in here into the midfield. Not forgiven for what that fucker done in this club in a jersey. Walking around after Burnley players to try and win the ball back when it should just be in. Give me that, and I'm going to beat 10 of years. And the way he treated this club, the bad atmosphere he brought to the dressing room, it's more than on the pitch what this guy done to this club. So I don't want people to fall in the trap. Encourage him to do well so we can sell the fucker. I don't want to hear people clamoring to call him back, because I will call you Spursy. And people know I hate that tag, but I will call you Spursy if you ask for him back at this club, knowing what he done when he was here, in my opinion. And Giovanni Lo Celso, look, he's not pulling up trees. He didn't even pull up trees last season, if we're being brutally honest. But hopefully there is some sort of improvement there. Jack, you want to say?
I just think with Winks, I don't know, I was proven right when it came to him not going to a Premier League club or him staying within the English pyramid. I said there's no way anybody would fork any money over for him. So that didn't happen. And then he did actually go to Sampdoria. And what I am even more surprised by is I really doubt there really is an injury at this stage, because there wasn't really any reported injury of him over the summer. He was seen playing and training quite regularly, actually, with Spurs. He was training alone. I couldn't see what possibly have happened to him. I actually think is what, again, maybe something I've said before about Winks is he went over to a club where he has no, credit in the bank, no kind of, people that, he can kind of ask to get a bit of a leg ahead of somebody or anything. He's going in there with a clean slate, and basically his football ability is going to have to speak for itself. And I don't think it has. I think he's basically just dramatically underwhelmed that Sampdoria manager. And I find it that they're just kind of coming up with excuses at the moment for why he's not playing.
100%. They realized how shit he is. They're just like, look, we'll do the training. You go and have an espresso or something, please. Big up that song, G. Really appreciate the support, brother. Hopefully we can get them all off the books, because I know how badly you want it done, how badly I want it done, how badly other Spurs fans want it done. So hopefully we can get them all off the books in some way, shape, or form. Even if it means ripping up a contract, I don't care. Do it. But big up that song, G, brother. Really appreciate the support. Jack, and we'll get Philip in on this one as well. Tottenham have 8 wins in 13 matches this season. But one thing we have yet to do is win 3 straight games on the bounce. Jack, can we change that today? Go 3 on the bounce and generate some real momentum, shut up the critics, and start to erode that Spursy tag that people associate with us.
I think we really should, especially now that we're playing at home, Dave. And it's a big talking point I've made from kind of what I've looked at the schedule. And when I looked at the whole schedule kind of in one big picture, you look at how infrequently or how little Spurs have played at home this season. And I think this is an excellent opportunity for us to be able to get that 3 wins on the bounce. like you just said there, Dave. And I think also a team like Everton, let's be honest, which we did really absolutely tear apart last season, they could either go into this one really wanting to get some revenge, or they could go into this one maybe a bit rattled or kind of a bit nervous considering how well Spurs have played against them. Also, I think we're starting to see kind of the semblance of the Sonny that we know can tear apart teams. I thought he absolutely tore apart Frankfurt the other night. I could see him doing the same thing to that Everton defense, especially a very kind of, I would say, immobile kind of Tarkovsky. The guy really does turn quite slowly. So I could see him getting absolutely torn by Sonny. And as well, Dave, like I said, I just think that playing at home, which we haven't in a while, playing in front of that crowd, which we haven't in a while, is going to be a huge turning factor in this one. Spurs, I think, have actually gotten quite used to playing away from home, playing in toxic atmospheres, let's be honest, as well. Like they went from the North London derby to that Frankfurt and then to the Amex, where it's never really been easy for them there either. And so I think they've actually kind of come through a pretty tough kind of road trip, you could say. And I think coming back home where they'll be greeted by the fans, especially with a big Premier League game, 5:30, I believe it is as well, Dave, not too early. I think there should be a lot of momentum behind this one. And I hope we get a similar performance that we got last season and we get that 3 wins on the bounce.
No, I really do hope so. And Philip, like Jack is saying, do you think that 3 wins on the bounce will start to erode that sort of Spursy tag that we have? And the reason why I say that is because, like, if we want to be real serious this season, we have to start winning 3, 4, 5 on the bounce rather than 2 on the bounce, draw another 2, lose another 2. You know what I mean? Does the Spursy tag start to erode once we start putting 4, 5, 6 games together on the bounce?
Spursy tag hopefully will be consigned to the dustbin of history once we start doing
I
that.
hope so. I fucking hate it.
I hate that saying. I absolutely detest it.
Why do you hate it, Philip? Why? Why is it
because it's detrimental. It's a slur. It's a kind of an insult. It's like saying someone's an idiot. You know, it's the same thing. We're being criticised for our performance. Something happens at Spurs, you're 2-1 up and you lose a match 3-2. Oh, that's Spursy. You know, okay, it might be accurate in the context that it's said in, but I just hate it. I would like to see it banned from all correspondence and all talk shows because it is an insult to the club. We get 3 in a row today against Everton, right? It would be great, brilliant. I'll tell you what will be even better if we make it 4 in a row next Wednesday against Man United. Yeah, because that's going to be an acid test for us. And then we've Newcastle at home, who are doing reasonably okay. So we've 3 very important matches in this coming 7 days. And we come out of them unscathed or unbeaten, I'd be very, very happy. And there'd be no reason to use the word Spursy.
100%. Couldn't agree more. But look, right now, we are being Spursy. There's only 66 likes on the stream with 195 people watching. What the hell is going on? I get it's, 2 o'clock in the day. Some people may be not fully awake, sore heads after last night. But you all have eyes. Use them to smash that like button and let's get them up, guys. Dig them.
Yep.
We are yet to put in a full 90-minute performance this season, added with late goals conceded. Why are we incapable of killing games off? We've had good performances, but the scoreline hasn't reflected it. Why is that?
For me, it's 2 words for it, and it's called World Cup. The start of this, you got to remember, this question you asked before about the Spursy tag and everything like that. What happens with this is we're playing games at the rate we only know for playing at Christmas. And that's like a 2-3 week period. Well, this is like a 3-month period where it's literally non-stop football. It's good for this. Obviously great for us. We get to see as much football as we've ever seen at this time of year. But there's no doubt these players are injured. There's no doubt in my mind that in the back of their heads, every single player, not just Tottenham, are thinking, if I pick up a bad injury, I miss a World Cup. There is no doubt that the World Cup is behind a lot of things. Like you see Liverpool now, we're losing what's his name, Diaz. Is that the guy we were in for last year? He's got injured now. Yeah. He's injured, and I can't remember if Colombia are going, but he's gone. Trent's picked up an injury. Reece James has now picked up an injury. This is on the back of their mind, especially now. We are like a month away from it, aren't we? A month away for being in Qatar and the World Cup coming. And I think that's why it's been hard to put in before. Yes, we all go on about the style of football. I was talking to Brian Ireland, as I always do, and he was saying, do you know what? I think what Conte's trying to do is get as many points on the board as possible, so we're within the title race. So when we restart, you can say, right, that's it. Now we've got time. Let's go. Let's just go full throttle. And you've got to think there's some weight to that because, listen,
Absolutely.
we've got the same sort of players playing the same sort of formation as we did last season when we're smashing Norwich's for 5s, Leicester's for 5s, Aston Villa for 4, Leeds for 4, Arsenal with a filth for 3, and convincingly doing it. Whereas now it hasn't been convincing. We talk about game management as well, as in this player should be rested, rotated. What I noticed as well, especially in the Frankfurt game, is there were times where they're just keeping possession. And we all know that you spend more energy chasing the ball when you haven't got it, as opposed to when you have got it. So maybe Conte is saying, do you know what, just keep it simple. I might not rotate you and bring you off minutes, but I'm going to try and relax it on the pitch so you're not exposing as much energy, so to speak. So there could be another reason with that. But I solely believe that the World Cup is the sole reason behind why we aren't, and I can only speak for we, aren't going and having that full 90 minutes, because I think there's just something going on with Conte saying, right, let's just keep it quite simple, and B, there's no doubt, especially now going forward, it's in the back of their mind that bad injury, World Cup gone.
Yeah.
And let's face it, someone like Kane, it could be his last World Cup.
Yeah, that's absolutely spot on. I've been thinking that theory myself for the last couple of weeks, that Conte is getting the team maybe subconsciously playing within themselves. And they're all using the World Cup as a reason. As you can say, Harry Kane does his ankle in the next couple of weeks. That's him out of the World Cup.
Exactly.
Same as if Hugo Lloris breaks his elbow again. There's an awful lot at stake over the next few weeks for these players. And as you say, when we come back after the World Cup, I think you can see Spurs going into overdrive, because there'll be no barriers in their way, and no fear in their minds that they're going to miss out on the World Cup tournament. So, it's very interesting few weeks ahead.
I like that. You get me excited, Philip. It's not that. It's not even 3:00 on a Saturday, my man. But I love that. Kieran Spiteri says, Dave, quick question: who do you prefer to start, Langley or Davies? I like both of them. Look, for me, it's Langley. I think they're on par defensively, but Langley for me is just so much better at progressing the ball. And I noticed the difference when Langley is not there. Playing out from the back, playing down that left hand side. So for me, on that basis, and with the way Conte is trying to go, playing out from the back, drawing teams onto us, which means we have to be comfortable on the ball and have good passing range. It's got to be Langley all day. I think it suits Conte more than what Ben Davies does, in my opinion. But big up Kieran Spiteri. Really appreciate it. Where am I? Jacko, this one's for you, my man. This one is for you. Jack, I was told our defence is good enough this season and players are beyond criticism. But if our defence is as good as we make them out to be, then why do we concede a lot of late goals? We have conceded 4 goals this season from 80 minutes onwards. 2 versus Sporting, 1 versus Fulham, and 1 versus Frankfurt. And there's also been a couple in the late 70s as well. And we simply cannot keep having these frantic, nervous end games like we spoke about earlier. What does this tell us, Jack? Does it tell us it's a competency issue of the player? Is it down to mentality? Are we too soft? Is it a leadership problem? Is it a captaincy problem? Because this can't keep continuing. We have to identify it and try and get it fixed.
Great question, Dave. It feels like with the first part has to be, I think, explained by, I think we've sometimes maybe forget how much better Antonio Conte has made all of these defenders. He's even made Davinson Sanchez look slightly better, which is already a miracle in itself. And I think he's made Ben Davies and Eric Dyer sort of kind of repaired their careers, or even kind of repaired their reputations, you could say, like with Spurs fans. And maybe we sort of forget that that's what means, is that Conte's took them from being somewhat maybe average defenders into maybe better than average defenders, or even some people thought probably worse than average defenders originally, where they were coming from. And now when you look at it, Dave, it probably still leaks through from time to time, that sort of average nature to them, where especially with Eric Dyer, Dave, I think he is one of the best examples of a player that can play pretty brilliantly for 89 minutes and then just have that 1 minute where it's just like, why do you just undo all of that good hard work, all of that good play for maybe one mistake that just seems, very uncharacteristic. But in the case of Dyer, I think it is characteristic. I think he always has it in him. And you have to just look at that I think Conte has sort of, how would you put it, like bandaged or maybe put some kind of band-aids on certain parts of their game, maybe raised certain elements of their game, made them a bit more solid in certain areas, but they still have that, slight, lapse of concentration. They still have that slight, lapse of quality in them. And I think that's just speaks to the players that they are, and that we still obviously have a lot more investment that is needed in the defense. And when you really look at it, and you've pointed this out before, Dave, so this isn't really my idea, it's really yours, but we've actually kind of neglected the defense when it comes to investment. We've invested heavily in other areas, I think, in the squad. But we've kind of just continued to just go with the same old with the defense. No matter what manager it is, it's kind of just been pretty much the same defenders, apart from, I guess, Romero, I guess, is the new addition, and Longley, but Longley is still technically on loan. How can we maybe fix this sort of like, conceding goals towards the ends of games? I would imagine that there has to be something like coming from either a captaincy sort of issue there, Dave, because how much can Conte really, tell them, guys, stay switched on the whole 90 minutes? I think they probably know that. It just needs to be somebody on the field that can do that. And it's obviously not coming from Lloris. As much as we love Lloris, it clearly isn't him, because he's been kind of guilty of it before, for not being vocal enough or not keeping players switched on when they need to be. And it probably is going to need to be maybe a Højbjerg or someone else that's going to have to keep them accountable, I would say, Dave. But very, very loaded question, and apologies for my loaded answer.
No, I love it. I love it. But guys, I also hear a lot, and we'll go to you on this one, Philip. I also hear a lot of people say that the problem is because of the midfield. There's not enough protection there for these guys. I mean, is it a problem? Because for me, I don't think it is. I think you got Højbjerg and Bentancur performing the best they've ever done. And that you can only give the back line so much protection. But if you look at the two goals against Sporting, one from a set piece, one of them from Frankfurt from a set piece late on. The one against Fulham, we just completely switched off. Brilliant play by Mitrovic, but we just completely switched off. The other one against Sporting, again, our heads were down after 1-0, switched off, let them dance to us. Because they're so late, Philip, for me, it's got to be a captaincy issue, though. I don't think you can blame the midfield. I don't think you can blame the tactics. So I think it's got to be a captaincy issue because I think switching off in the last 5-10 minutes stems from our goalkeeper or from our captain, I'll be honest.
Yeah, well, certainly did against Sporting Lisbon. Remember, Lloris made a brilliant save that created the corner they scored from, and they were high-fiving him. He should have told them to fuck off and get back to your game, get back to your positions there. It was a concentration issue. They switched off. They thought they got away with it and weren't set up for the corner that came in, and we all know what happened then. So I think we've gone from a team that last season, how many matches did we win with goals in the 91st, 92nd minute? Yeah. I can think of Watford, I think of Leicester, I think of Man City. There's probably more.
Yeah, I think it was 4 or 5.
So we've gone from a team from scoring in the last couple of minutes of the game to a team that's prone to conceding. And I do think it's a concentration issue. The guys are not focusing enough on the last 5 minutes of a match. Especially Wednesday night, we were coasting. There was no danger. And suddenly the last 6 minutes felt like about 6 hours because we gave away a silly goal and then we panicked. We were panicking a bit at the back. So that's something Conte has to work on. Now, you can't blame the midfield for the defenders panicking. It's not them. It's the defenders. I also noticed one thing. I saw I don't know what game it was in. One of the other teams had a 6'4" forward. And you had someone like who marked him. Anyway, one of our more diminutive players, maybe a 5'9" player, marking a 6'4". Yeah. What do you do? It's mainly down to concentration and also focusing. Hugo Lloris, I'm not a fan of goalkeeper captains. I never have been. Yeah. I think a defender should be either our midfielder should be the captain. But Hugo Lloris should be screaming at those boys when the corner comes in. But Hugo is not vocal enough for me. He's not vocal enough and does not scare his defenders into concentrating when they should be concentrating. So hopefully that Conte can knock that out. We've got a specialist in for set pieces, offensive ones possibly. Would it be no harm to bring in someone that can help us defend a wee bit more against offensive or defensive positions? Because we get caught out far too often from corners. So something should be done about that.
Well said. I completely agree. And also just quickly to add, I think it just comes down to the captaincy issue, like you said there, Philip, and simply just to put that, you can't really expect every single player to hold themselves always, focused or accountable, because either it has to do with age, inexperience, They're sometimes just not that sort of player. They can kind of lapse a bit of concentration. They're all human at the end of the day. But you have to need one player that you know that is always switched on, that is always keeping people focused, always keeping people accountable. And that requires raising their voice, that requires screaming in their ear, and that requires being able to bring the team together. And you just don't really see Hugo do it enough, or you don't even see Hugo have the opportunity to be able to do it enough. And I think it's more Højbjerg that gets the opportunity to do it. So I think we should just allow Højbjerg to be the guy, kind of screaming in their ear and,
you should have a captain with the armband on him, right? But there should also be a captain on the pitch, the greater area of the pitch, not just the penalty area. And Højbjerg would be ideal for that, in my opinion.
No, 100%. I couldn't agree more. Daigle, the amount of goals that we've been conceded from set pieces for a long time now, it's been since Jose Mourinho. In fact, I think if you probably go and look at it, I think it's definitely over 50% of the amount of goals we conceded since Jose Mourinho has been here has been from free kicks or corner kicks, in my opinion. And as we know, Everton are physical, they're good in the air. But in the air is our weakest. That's where we're at our weakest, Brian. Every time the opposition get a set piece, feels like they get a fucking stiffy because they know they're going to get a chance. So, what is the problem? Is it again down to the captaincy, or what do you think it is? Is it down to just individual talented player, the talent of the player? But how do we fix it? Because we can't keep having little Achilles heels like that. Because in fact, I would argue that the set pieces suit the lower teams more than the bigger teams, and that's why we tend to get upset by the lower teams than what we do with the bigger teams.
So first of all, I have to say I am in completely total and utter agreement with Phil when it comes to goalkeepers being captains. I've always been this way since I was young. I saw Peter Shilton as captain of England. Listen, some of them become very good. Like you've got what's the old Oliver Kahn at Bayern Munich and players like that can do it. Yeah. But I think if I was a manager, it would never be that. For me, it needs to be a central midfielder, a central defender, someone that can get the message up and down the pitch nice and easy. I can see things. Hugo just sees things from one way. He's just looking forward the whole time. Whereas other players are looking back and forward and can see things going. So I'm in complete agreement with it. Listen, Hugo's won a World Cup as a captain. Who are we to say that it can't be done? I'm just not like Philip. I'm just not a fan of it.
Hugo Lloris made a mistake and nearly cost his country the World Cup.
No, don't get me wrong. He made a huge mistake. But that's the thing. You look at that and he still hasn't learned from that mistake with playing from the back. He still has not learned. You'd think you have that done on the biggest stage in world football. You'd be like, shit, I've just made a mug of myself. I'm going to cut this out. Yeah. But he doesn't. So there's that. When it comes to free kicks, again, you look at it, we seem to have this switch off moment. And if you look at it, Eric Dyer, I'll give praise. Eric Dyer, we knew always had this little mistake in him. But since Conte has come in, and fair play to Dyer, he seems to have eradicated that out of his game. Whereas we were in a back two, we would have seen it regularly. Okay, there's the Dyer slip, there's the Dyer slip, there's the Dyer slip. In a three, it hasn't happened until obviously what happened against Frankfurt. But that's been wrinkled out of it or ironed out of it, whatever you want to say. We seem to have these things. And as I've said on your show many a time, after I watched the Comedy Gold Arsenal All or Nothing, I went back and I watched the Manchester City one, and then I watched our one. And you look back at it, and if you listen to Jose carefully, forget what's going on and the way we played, every single thing Jose Mourinho said about the club was right.
Yep.
Everything.
But do you know what, though? I tried telling people this at the time. I tried telling people when Jose said it. They're like, no, he's too mean. We want a sugar daddy who's going to come in and change our players' diapers, put them to bed at night. It's ridiculous. If we want to be better, these players have to stand up and fucking accept being challenged.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, you look at it, the one game that I called upon it the most is when you watch the 3-2 defeat to Wolves when Aurier scored that goal. He's sitting there and telling all the Wolves players, or saying, when we started getting on the break and counter-attacking, what did Wolves do? They just hauled us down in the middle of the pitch to get the free kick so far up the pitch that... And he goes, that's what they did. That's how... And they go, what you do is you just let them walk on by, off you go, and then they get to the danger zone. And then that free kick becomes a hell of a lot more... I'd rather get a yellow card in the middle of the pitch than give a dead ball away within a dangerous territory when you've got someone that can hurt you from it. And at the moment... a lot of teams can hurt us from it.
Yeah.
And you would think, I mean, obviously, in training, you would think there would be, or the defensive side of it, this would be something they work on very, very closely, which they do at times. But when you see it still failing, I think there has to be a reason. Maybe we need, if you look at it, Dyer's very vocal. And we could see that if you look at when Dyer was out last season, it was harder for us than when Romero was out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how it was. Do I think Dyer's a better player? Of course I don't. But he's better at organizing.
Can he be a leader by example, though, just quickly, Brian? Whereas maybe Højbjerg can be a leader
I give Eric Dyer a lot of credit because I was at the I went to a few games last season, especially Chelsea away with Ben in the Carabao Cup. And without Dyer, that defence was a mess. Like a complete, they didn't know what they did. All right, Tanganga was off form, Romero and Ben Davies. Ben Davies was trying to do the shouting and whatever, but obviously he hasn't got the same, let's say, set of skills as Dyer has. He certainly can't speak 4 or 5 languages to communicate with the defence. And that's where I think a lot of work needs done. And I also, there's other elements, but as you said, when it's been a thing, and this is when I go on about the transfer windows and stuff, you think, right, we need a vocal, commanding centre-back to come in here and organise and shout and be, and we're missing that. So forget the Bastonies away. Surely there's a vocal leader that it's a host of things, but people know, when people know that this is our Achilles heel, you would think that we would do something like Jose said, foul them up there, pick up a yellow card, foul them up there. Yeah. I mean,
it's something I was taught when I was fucking 4 years of age by my
exactly.
Down to being coached, rather than let them run at you. If they get by you, instead of letting them get to the danger zone, take them out, take a card. But there's other smart ways of doing it where you can avoid getting a card. So, I mean, it's something we've got to do. And I agree with you. I used to scream at it, especially when Harry Winks was in the midfield. It's like, Jesus Christ, will you just put your boot in? It pisses me off, but I fully agree with you, my man. Fully agree. Awesome says the
truth. Haven't seen him for ages. Big up, Awesome.
No, big up, Awesome. I hope you're keeping well, my man. He says the truth everyone refuses to accept is we don't have the persona to fully play 3-4-3 or 3-5-2. That's why he tried 4-2-4 from 4-2-3-1. Old formation. Be all real. Look. First of all, I think everybody on this panel is real. I don't think anyone's sitting here trying to act like something they're not or not giving any real opinions. I don't like that, if I'm being brutally honest. I think everybody's actually real here. I don't know anyone that isn't. So if you think no one is, let me know in the comments and we'll discuss it. But I don't like that, to be honest with you. I think everyone is here giving their real opinions. But if we're being honest, like, why are we talking about a 4-2-4 or 4-3-3 win? This is where I do agree with you. We don't have the persona to play that. We do not have the players to play 4 at the back. I completely agree with you. I've said this many times over the last while under Conte's tactics. When people were starting to call for a 4 at the back, it's like we don't have the players to do it. You want to go back to what happened under Jose Mourinho? Fine. Call for it all you want, but then don't come crying when we're losing games every week. So we can't go to a 4 at the back. Do we have the persona to play a 3-4-3? Of course we do. It got Conte from 9th to Champions League, especially with the additions of Kulusevski and Bentancur. Now, what if we're being real, and I think where people also need to be fair, no one talks enough about trying to integrate 6 players into a team. It's not FIFA or Football Manager where you just press a button, take one out, put the next one in, and everything's fucking hunky-dory. In real life, it takes time. Players have to build up relationships, learn each other's movements, etc., etc. It takes time, and that's what we're trying. Last January, we got spoiled with how easy it was to fit Kulu and Bentancur in and how much they hit the ground running. But this season, we're having an adaptation period, and we have to accept that. But if we're being real, let's talk about that. Like, no one's sitting here saying we don't have a full, complete squad. We all agree. We need more defenders in here. We probably need another right wing back in here. We all agree. Jack, anything you want to say?
I don't really remember the last time that Conte's really gone to a 4 in the back, apart from maybe the Chelsea game. I think Conte's stuck with the 3 in the back as much as he can. He's going to go for variations of it, and he's going to make tweaks to it. But that's the system that has won him titles. That's the system that has gotten us from 9th place to Champions League that no one expected us to be able to do. So I think he does have the players to do it. Maybe he doesn't have all the perfect players, like example, maybe right wing back, or like Brian and I have highlighted today, maybe certain areas of center back as well. But he's made do with what he has so far, and we do hope that he's going to get even more in January and the summer, so that there's even more players that he can use to make that 3-4-3 and the 3-5-2. But I'm going to be with you, Dave, here. I mean, he's gotten this team from ninth to Champions League, and no one even expected him to do that. Plenty of people doubted or even called us delusional for thinking that he would do that. And I think it shows that he does have the players at least to make it work. He at least has the players to make it work. Maybe it's not to the exceptional degree that some people want it to be, but he's done it to make it work, and he's done it to get results.
And I'll also say the 4-2-4, if we're talking about being real, it was using the Chelsea game as a way to get us back into the game. It's smart management. But we all know we can't use them formations going forward. Look, maybe I picked up that be all real comment maybe the wrong way, Osmo. If I did, I do apologize. But I see a lot of this, be real, be real, be real. Everybody's fucking real. Everyone needs to accept that everyone has different opinions. And if we all seen it the same way, we'd be sitting here having jerking circles, being fucking boring. The fact that everyone has different opinions is what football is all about. So you shouldn't be shooting someone down for their opinion or not calling them real or calling them disingenuous. It's horseshit. I don't go around calling people disingenuous when they talk about things that I don't like what they talk about, or I don't agree with what they're saying about things. I don't sit there and go, oh, they're disingenuous, they're not real. At the end of the day, it's their opinion. They see it through a different eye. So I get fed up when I see all this nonsense. It absolutely drives me insane. You don't understand how hard it is to put yourself out here in front of people. Take some of the comments that we get that I refuse to highlight because I don't want trouble. I don't want fucking fights happening. But no one sees some of the comments that we get behind the scenes and how hard it is putting yourself out here. So everybody is absolutely real. Absolutely real. And this annoys me. I'm sorry if I picked it up wrong. I'm not sure if I did or not. But
what I will say, David, just with this, I know this guy personally. He's been on Mr. K shows, and occasionally he means that I can personally vouch. I think that's just a mistyping or run out of characters because he wouldn't be. I can personally vouch for him.
Okay. It's just I just go mad when this whole be real shit. I don't turn around to someone that says it to me and go, oh, but because you see football differently, I don't say, oh, well, you're not being real with your opinions. You know what I mean? I'm just like, look, you have your opinion, I have mine. So maybe I did pick it up wrong. If I did, I apologize. But I just hate it when I see it because it drives me mad and I have to call it. Marlon Green says we should have captains all, but also I really appreciate the support. Says we should have captains all over the field. Hugo has the armband, but I cannot believe the outfield players aren't taking responsibility when they're out. Absolutely fair. Derek Smith says, to be fair, Dyer, Bentancur and Højbjerg were all sudden by the time of Frankfurt second goal. Conte took some blame on himself for that. Terry Wright, good to see you in the building. I hope you're keeping well. Lucho Falcon, he's from Romero territory. Hello,
Buenos
lads.
dias.
Greetings from Buenos Aires. Come on, you Spurs.
Muy temprano.
We've got a damn crew. Anyone else notice how Romero plays in the air? It's his weakness, my man. Ash Cakes, good to see you. Same as Jack Bloom. Colin Turner says, when it looks like it's possible, Tottenham bring their game to the table, I think we would do better than some other people think. Big yourself up, my man. Absolutely love that. But look, let's keep cracking on. Jack, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to leave it in your hands while I run to the toilet, my man. Where am I? 1 second. Jack, the Everton that Tottenham smashed at home last season has changed significantly. Keane, Holgate are no longer the centre-backs. Mikalenko is the well-established left-back for Everton alongside the experienced Cody and Tarkowski at centre-backs. Are Everton better on paper this year, in your opinion? And will we actually find it harder today to put such a big scoreline this time around?
Yeah, I asked this on the fan show yesterday, and I put it quite simply. The question was, are Everton good? I think last season they weren't very good, and this season I think they actually have improved quite dramatically in certain areas, especially when you look at that back line, guys. I mean, last season, Holgate and Keane were kind of making themselves almost a bit of a walking, kind of clown fest, in the back line. They were playing a pretty high line. I recall they were both exceptionally slow and they couldn't turn. They were getting played through so easily. And then as well, when you look at this Everton team, some of the players that they've actually gotten rid of or at least kind of changed in and out are kind of, new players that actually want to prove something to this Frank Lampard. I do kind of like that look of that 6'5" Onana. I do just enjoy anybody that's that height playing in the Premier League, I'll be honest. But Iwobi has turned into actually a decent center mid, whereas before they seemed to have some center mid problems. I think they were playing like Fabian Delph in like the midfield like last season. That's how bad it really got. When you look at the likes of the wingers, I mean, they have those new up and coming guys of Damari Gray and Anthony Gordon, and now Dominic Calvert-Lewin is back, and they also have Mopai and not the former greatest striker in the world, Solomon Rondon. So I don't know. I think this Everton team is actually, what would you say, Brian? I think last season they were pretty bad. And to put it in simple terms now, I actually think they're somewhat good, maybe even close to good.
So, Jack, I'm happy you just mentioned the player just there, because I remember I've been meaning to have this chat with you for ages. Last year, before the season started, we were on talking about, before, like, not the summer, just got the summer before. And I said to you that I wish we'd got Demarai Gray for 1.25 million. Do you remember that?
I do remember this.
At
We were
one
speaking
point
about him yesterday. Yeah.
You were saying like his attitude's bad. He's gone from here to there, and you're right in some points. But at Leicester,
he's taken off at
Everton. He's been a very, very good player, and at 1.25 million, more than worth. That'd be a very good calculation.
You know what we were talking about yesterday, Brian? We were saying like how Anthony Gordon, we were looking at him for Spurs, right? And the valuation was like what, 40, 50 million, something obscene. And I was saying maybe in backing of like a Demarai Gray, and I was surprised I found myself doing it. I wish you were speaking instead of me, but I was saying, look at what Demarai Gray is doing, like in comparison to Anthony Gordon. Like they're basically doing the same thing on the pitch. It's just that one guy happens to have a bleached blonde hair and is worth 50 million, and the other one has made his sort of comeback from the Bundesliga and is actually doing pretty well for himself. And Anthony Gordon, or sorry, not Anthony Gordon, I feel like Demarai Gray, he's not valued at 50 million, 40 million or whatever. And I feel like he's, I don't know, am I being harsh on Anthony Gordon? I feel like he's doing just as much as he is.
Well, do you know what? I mean, Anthony Gordon, in a way, I'm kind of happy with it. When we were linked with him, I liked his potential. I liked what he'd done in his first season, but I didn't like the valuation. But then you look at it, and I didn't even realise till like after the Everton Man U game, he's already picked up 5 bookings in the yellow card in the Premier League. That's 5 cards in 9 games. That's a disciplinary problem that even Frank Lampard said, I've like told him to cut, and he's not getting it out of his game. But getting back onto Everton, one thing that Everton have got now, finally, is a manager that seems to have struck a chord with them. They didn't like Benitez. Ancelotti did for that first season. They didn't get to see him because of COVID and everything. But they really have bought into Frank, the way he's sticking up for the players and what he's doing within the community. So that, I mean, I don't know if Phil's been to Goodison Park, but I certainly have on many occasions. It's one of those grounds that is so hostile and such like what we had at White Hart Lane. They're so on the pit, and they are such wonderful supporters. Goodison. It's actually one of the horriblest places to go because their fans really are up for it. But he has done something now. I think the signing of Connor Cody was a genius move. Genius move.
Yeah, you got I think the back line is the biggest change. You just look at that back line, it's just a whole different.
You look at it, you've got a Liverpudlian. I didn't know what side of the fence he was for what team he supported, but he's gone back home. He's left Wolves, who are in a real mess without him, amongst other players.
And he's good on the ball for them.
Jack, I'm so happy I'm with you.
Tarkowski.
Thank you, Tarkowski. Thank you. It's always good that I forget names when Jack's here. You complete me, Jack. You have me at Tarkowski. So yeah, do you know what? They look better. Yes, they've got mistakes, but if you watch with Everton this season, and I watched Match of the Day 2 for the first time only yesterday, and I watched the analysis of the Everton game. And it was Dion Dublin, and I can't remember the other person that was with Danny Murphy. And they were showing how Everton, they started playing better, but they still have moments where they just switch off.
I agree.
And when they switch off, you can't do that in the Premier League, because if you switch off, someone will punish you 9 times out of 10. And I think that's where it's at. There's no doubt they have improved. They've just got on a half a dozen unbeaten run. I don't think they did that at all last season. There is improvements coming.
So it sounds like we've answered the question. Sounds like Everton, I don't think are good, but close to good.
They're getting there. I don't expect them to be in the relegation fight they were in last season. And you look at it, they lost Richarlison, who the fans still adore. Like, he will get a great reception from the Everton fans at Tottenham, rather than getting booed because he's touching the ball. Yeah. They'll probably sing his song, in all honesty. He's that lost down there. But Everton, this seems to be one of the games where we always put on a show. You saw last season, I picked some of the Everton game where we've literally knocked them for 4s, 5s, 3s. So I expect the whole scoring game. And the question was, have Everton improved? Without a doubt.
And could we get the same scoreline despite them improving? Could we get the same
missing that finisher, though, haven't they? I mean, they had Richarlison, but I think since Lukaku, they haven't had that striker that they said, right, 20 goals, off you go. I can't remember a striker since Lukaku that they said could do that, and that's what I think they're missing.
Well, they did have Dominic Calvert-Lewin until he started to go off and start doing silly photo shoots.
Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
20 men's magazine performances, not really 20 goals.
Look, no problem. Go and do what you want to do. But when you see things like that, you know the player's on the decline. He's took his eye off the game completely. Before we take off some more super chat, Philip, United watched the game last weekend. They watched it back. United's both goals came playing counter-attack, caught them on the counter twice, and used Everton's high line to expose them. Now, we also done that last season where we spanked them 5-0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, like Brian was alluding to. Is that a blueprint for today's game?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the Everton back four have the turning circle of the Titanic. I think at this stage they've no speed. We can get in behind them. Get in behind them, and just a word on Everton. Like, I have a soft spot for Everton because I always feel they've been living in the shadow of Liverpool for so long. And every time Everton play Liverpool, I'm really rooting for them. They're a good family-run club. No controversy about them. Well run. I'm not a fan of Fat Frank. No way I'm a fan, but he seems to be doing a reasonably good job there. But not good enough to get anything from us this afternoon, hopefully. But you were saying about the high line. Yeah, I think we have to play a high line. Well, they will play a high line tonight, and they could really pay for it because, I mean, Son. It'll be like Son against Leicester for his third goal. Freedom of the pitch, nearly running behind them, and I can see that happening again today. I don't know if Calvert-Lewin fit. He came on as a sub against United, but I don't know if he's fit to play today.
He's coming back off a long-term injury, so I'm not sure whether to risk that. I reckon it'll be Mopé today up front.
Yeah, well, Mopé's a decent little striker. To keep an eye on him. But really, I mean, we should have too much for Everton today. We usually do. I mean, I see Conte. I saw a thing going through there. Conte has never ever even conceded a goal against Everton in the Premier League. So I mean, let's hope there's another game added to that list tonight.
What a stat that is! What a stat that is! That he's never even conceded a goal.
Never.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That's incredible.
Kane also has like 14 goals or 13 goals in 14 games.
Who hasn't he? That's old news, David.
No, we've got some good stats in our favour on this fixture show, so we do, to be fair. But Osmar says, my point was Levy out. Levy is the problem we have. No, look, 100%. People are well entitled to feel that way. What I will say is, David warming up the fingers there, I see Osmar. And that's the problem we have. Look, there's no doubt that maybe down the years, there has been areas of neglect. 100%, I agree with you. Our squad reflected that over the last couple of years, in my opinion. But it does look like starting to change the ways. It's got to continue. I'm not going to say we're there yet because we're not. Starting to, but it has to continue. I think bringing Paratici in was huge. I think bringing Conte in here was huge. Have the back Conte enough? I mean, that's still up for debate. We'll wait and see what we do in January and if he sticks around this summer, if we go again and really back him this summer. But look, we'll wait and see. Daigle, do you want to have your say?
What with I'm just actually typing in the private chat saying Jack's membership comment is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So that
but I think we just need the fingers. I did them for you, maybe. Awesome.
Oh, okay. So. Well, now you've done it. I can always say Levy out. Yeah, but listen. Well, when it again, and I've seen you put the thing in the thing for the formations. I get what he's saying about playing in the right formation. I was saying last season, as much as we were playing the 3-4-3, and I know that's Conte's blueprint, and I'm with Conte. I don't think we had the players that had the knowledge.
But it's nonsense. The players were good enough to play in that system last season and got us from 9th to top 4.
No, what I'm talking about.
But we're also sitting inside the top 3 this season. So I actually think it's nonsense to say we don't have the players to play.
No, what Dave, if you let me finish, what I'm saying is when we're trying to do it before Kulusevski came, that 3 didn't make sense. Whether it be Lucas Moore, whether it be... We didn't have a Benson core to help Højbjerg do what he was doing. So those 2 were fundamental. But I'm saying, why I say... You look at that back...
On that, though, Daigle, on that, we have to understand, when a new manager comes in here, especially through the season, he has to implement the way he wants to play, but he also has to wait for a transfer window to open up to be able to improve it. We have to be realistic.
You know what? You fell into my trap. I'm so happy you did that. Thank you. Why I say this, and I've said it before, is the reason you say that, again, is like I've always said, and I've said for many, many years, the problem we have is when we bring in a new manager, we don't bring in a manager with the same philosophy. So every time a manager comes into the club, there's players that this manager has brought in that does not fit that style, that passage of play. So then you're going like an Emerson, right? Emerson, I'm going to make you a right wing back, or this, I'm going to make you this, or this, I'm going to do this to you, because the players are there. Then we bring in managers, players for this manager, and it doesn't work. And then instead of going for the same philosophy, we go elsewhere. And then this manager says, "Well, so that's where it comes with the leading part. What like you said, 3-4-3 right now. You can see there's a blueprint for Conte's football because he's brought his players in. For 3-5-2, you can see, and I think it will be 3-5-2 today solely because of Kulusevski's injury.
Yeah,
I think that said like right. It's because it's been made easier for him.
Yeah. Big up.
I saw a post this morning. It nearly scared the life out of me till I saw where it came from. It said Conte stalling on new Spurs contract, and he's waiting to see the position with Allegri and Juventus. You know. Then I looked at who sent it. Juve News. I'll say
Very
that's
helpful.
what the definitive wishful thinking post. You know.
Very much so, Philip.
Big
But
up,
awesome. Really
Look,
appreciate it.
I do want to say maybe I picked up the comment wrong. If I did, I really do apologise. But look, fair play to you, my man. Fair play to you for coming back and big yourself up, boss man. But look, let me know why you don't think we have the players to play the 3-4-2 or the 3-4-3 or the 3-5-2. Let me know. You don't even have to put it in a super chat. Just put it in the chat. Let me know, and maybe I'll get a bit more of an understanding of maybe the point, because I do understand in a super chat it's limited characters and maybe it is hard to get it across the right way, brother. But let me know, my man.
And also as well, everybody, welcome to throw in the member super chats as well. I am keeping an eye on them. I even put my own in there, and I said Calvert-Lewin is closer to a return to GQ magazine than the Everton first team.
Brilliant. It's absolutely fucking brilliant.
So true. It's so true.
So everybody, if you do have those member super chats, feel free to throw them in. I am keeping an eye on them. And then also, as always, keep getting your comments in, as David has been doing a very good job on. He's putting them up. He's engaging with them. But if you do want to skip the queue, throw in that member super chat or throw in a super chat. It's a great way to support the channel.
Yeah, everyone keep smashing them like buttons, guys. Let's get them up. John. I was looking for you Wednesday night, brother. I was waiting for you. I was keeping an eye. I was watching the comments intensely. I was like, I wonder is John going to come in now that Gil Messi had a good game? Because this is something you've held me over for the best part of a year or that now. And I wonder what you think on Conte's quotes where he says technically he has a very important understanding of the game, but physically needs the ball up. So once he gets physically fit, he's going to be in the team. But John, I was disappointed you didn't come in, my man. But big yourself up. Good to see you today. Hopefully you and the young family are doing well, brother. Big yourself up. But guys, let's start talking into some team selection, and then we'll get into maybe the 3-4-3 or 3-5-2 when we start talking the midfield. But we'll start with you on this, Philip, and we'll work. And I have other questions to follow up to work our way around. Philip, I think we were all expecting Doherty to start today because of Emerson's suspensions. But Conte said on Spencer in yesterday's press conference, he says, Jed, he's working and he's improving and he's starting to understand what the demand is to stay at Tottenham. I'm pleased to have more options, which I've watched read a lot of reports over the last couple of days in the build-up to this game. And it's leading to some sections of the media to believe he might actually see some minutes today. Do you think he is a part of Conte's game plan today?
Yeah, I think. Well, he's not going to start. I think Doherty's going to start. But if the game is won or looks like it's won after 70 or 75 minutes, I would throw him on, give him a chance, to show what he can do. The thing that the comment that he made about learning to stay at Tottenham, it would lead me to believe there may have been a school of thought to loan him out in January, but I don't think that's going to happen now. I think he's done enough to prove to Conte that he's good enough to play for Tottenham, and he will do eventually. But I really can't see him. I can see him making his first full appearance in the Carabao Cup against his old club Forest in November. Yeah, up to then he might get some minutes, at late in games when we're just to rest the player, because we've got to rotate, and I can see rotation coming up today. To be honest with you, see quite a few changes made in the team today.
100%. And just maybe a quick follow-up question on this one, Philip, and then I'm going to go with Daigle on the left-sided wing-back. Philip, how important is it that either Doherty or Spence take their chance, considering that Emerson has been Conte's preferred choice?
Yeah, very. It's like I would love now, being an Irishman, I would love to see Matt Doherty come in there and cement his position by playing well, maybe scoring the odd goal or two. I think we've all sort of not given up on Emerson, but Emerson is probably the most divisive player we have in the team at the moment. Mm-hmm. He's the one that creates the most angst and the most jumping behind the couch when he has the ball. So. Mm-hmm. I would like to see Doherty get a chance, but in the knowledge that he's Spence breathing down his neck to take his place,
I think this is a perfect opportunity. Like what he done with Emerson's suspension, he used it to challenge Doherty in the press, so he'd come in with a point to prove. And basically, what he's done is create competition between Emerson and Doherty now. Now, if he can bring Spence off the bench at some stage today, it will create a three-way competition. I think it'll benefit absolutely everybody. Paul Markey says our white players, especially Ryan and Session, are not offensive enough, and so the 3-4-3 is in effect a 5-2-3. We need proper wing backs for it, and I can definitely sort of understand that. I think maybe more in Session's case. I think Emerson does actually get forward. It's just the consistency of what he does in the forward areas, which is his main problem. But I definitely see what you're saying, Jack. What would you say to Paul Markey here?
I kind of agree that I feel like just both of the wingbacks in general, Royale and Sassignon respectively, just don't really impress us very consistently or even at all in some cases of Royale going forward. And I think it is a huge problem and it is a huge limitation how probably Conte wants to play his his football. At the same time, though, it feels like in the case of Perisic, he seems to be a bit of a liability defensively. So it seems to be a very kind of tough position to get the right player for. You need to find somebody that is able to handle themselves well enough defensively, but also brings like kind of the attacking creativity that a winger would, in that sort of position. Because if you ask me, I think what I have been a bit disappointed with Perisic so far is I think he's kind of just been taken advantage of by mostly anyone defensively so far this season, which is a bit worrying, especially when he went up against Saka. I really thought like that kind of even gives me worries about the Man United game because he'd be coming up against Antony or whoever it might be up there. So it just makes me think, Dave, that perhaps just in general for Paul Markey, that I think we do need to find these, brilliant wingbacks or train these wingbacks to be able to be defensively solid, but also still be a valid threat going forward. Because I think Sessegnon finds himself in the good areas. He just doesn't really do enough with it. Yeah. And I feel like that's the same thing for Royale. They find themselves in good areas. They just don't really do enough with it. And there's some that comes down to training, but also just comes down to them maybe not being good enough going forward. But I will admit, I do like that they're solid defensively because I am also that sort of guy. And I do prefer sometimes people that can handle themselves defensively.
Yeah, there you are, Paul Markey. Let Jack know in the comments whether you agree or disagree, brother. Big yourself up. We'll take this comment and then we'll move on to left wing back. Shem Tan says the reason we don't have the players for the 3-4-3 or any formation, exactly what Bryce said. Too many managers bringing their own players in for different formations. We need to clear out. Look, I would agree to up until recently, I would say. I think when you got to look, to say we haven't had a clear out, I don't think is right. I think you've got to look. How many players did Paratici get rid of the summer he got here?
Yeah, and they're all coming back, David.
No, we're not talking about Gazzaniga. No one talks about Sissoko, Sergio here. They're all forgotten. They're all forgotten. No one wants to give a fair analysis of it. The players we got out this season, we know we have trouble selling them, which we have to accept, but they're still out of the club. So if you look at our squad under Jose to the squad we have now, there's 9 new fresh faces in this squad and more than 10 gone out of this squad. So to say we're not having a clear out, I disagree with. I think we've had as much of a turnaround as we could have without actually ending up like Nottingham Forest. Now, if you want 20 players in here in one window, no problem. But look at the problems Nottingham Forest are having right now. They also sacked the recruitment guy that was in charge of bringing them guys in. So there has to be a bit of planning around how you do it and how quickly you do it. But we are rotating this squad underneath Antonio Conte. And I think before that, I would definitely agree with you. But right now, I think times have changed and we are rotating the squad. I don't know whether you agree, Brian.
No, I do agree. I do agree to excuse me, a certain extent. There are players. Listen, we got rid of a lot of the deadwoods, as they called, or the toxic players But all I will say is, like, going into this window, we know what elements we missed. Yes, you're right. We can't get it all done in one window. That I'm completely with.
Well, we can, but we'll just be Nottingham Forest.
I'm saying you fit it. Well, you can't, because Nottingham Forest have tried it and they failed. You cannot do it that way. You just simply cannot. The fact that it's a smaller, intimate squad, that Conte gets to focus on the players he needs to focus on, because you know full well if you're part of Conte's plans or not. It's like you're with me or you're not. He won't waste time with these players that he could spend devoted to the players that he has got. Where the turnaround, the outgoing, yes, we got rid of a load, but we still missed fundamental areas last season, which I think I would have taken a centre back over one of those signings. I'm not going to think which one, but or I wanted. We're talking of Spence. Listen, I love Spence. I think Spence is going to be a fantastic player at our right wing back or right back, whatever manager comes in or whatever, if Conte's still here, for a very, very long time. But what I wanted to see was a right back ready to come in now, like Perisic is doing with Sessegnon. So Sessegnon is learning. I'd love to have seen a Dumfries or someone that can come in and go, right, you are. And also what I think didn't help Spence, and I'm not, well, it is a pot of Levy, is how long that one took. If he had got that done quick and had him in Korea, had him in Israel, had him for then, maybe he would have had that time to show him I'm your guy. Where this is why I think, like Phil said, I think his debut is coming hands down against Notts Forest away. I think once he's had that month to spend with him, and Conte will get to spend the whole month with him, apart from whatever they do for their holidays, he will get that chance. When he gets it, he will take it. But yeah, you're asking about left wing back. I think he's going Perisic today.
I'll get onto that. Give me 1 second. Paul Markey says Sirkin back from Sunderland makes big sense for me. I'm pissed off with Sirkin. He was in the Ireland setup. I think he's got mad dual nationality. I think he can even play. I think it's like Lithuania. The guy can play for as well. But he then got transferred over into the English system. So it's a bit like what Rice, a bit like Jack Grealish. It's a bit annoying that this keeps happening. But I like Sirkin. I think he's a decent player. I think he's a good, hard-working player. Maybe there's areas of games he needs to improve on the ball going forward and stuff like that. I'll be honest, I'm not sure he'll make it at Tottenham Hotspur. I would love to have seen him given a go beforehand. I'm just not sure he's going to make it at Tottenham Hotspur, especially with Destiny Adoje coming in here in the summer. I think that ship has sailed, if I'm being brutal.
Here's another one for the future. Let's send a player out, get him back cheaper, rather than get a player in that can come and do the job. This is the problem. Don't get me wrong. He could come back and he could be good, but you had him for this amount of time. You let him go. He's played well for Sunderland. All of a sudden, he can do the job at Tottenham. No, it doesn't work that way. You need to. This is the problem, David. We need to bring in. I saw some people say this isn't for the left wing back. This is to be more competition to Ben Davies and play, because he can play at the left in the back three. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Weren't we told Bastoni next summer is number one target, and we're going for him? And for people to say Sirkin is the one that may do it, this is where the whole problem starts.
Yeah, but
I don't know. I see it as potentially a homegrown thing. I see it as a homegrown thing.
Is this coming from the club, though?
Well, people have been talking about it. We are Tottenham TV even mentioned it. I mean, obviously we know our love for the boys. This could be again. This could
paper talk, or has it officially come from the club?
That part I don't know. I know Ben and Simeon did speak about it. I can't remember the source they said, but they did speak about it in one of their updates this week. But like you said, Adoji looks like, oh my God, what a player we potentially, or not potentially, we do have on our hands. It's potentially, can he do it in the Premier League? And everything's looking like yes, he can. And this with Sirkin, I understand it. This is where I get the, you know, when I've said before in your show and other shows about the sentimentality we have with players, not just us, the club. We've got to cut this out. Go and get the real deal, or at least a player that's played at. If he was in the Premier League now doing great for Sunderland, then I'd be like, yeah, do you know what? Makes sense.
I think what we'll have to do is, I think I'm going to just wait and see on this. I'm not sure how true the rumours are, I'll be honest. So I'm not even going to get into too much detail in it. I think if it was definitely going to happen, I think it would be a lot more news about it, if I'm being brutally honest. But look, we'll wait and see, Paul Markey, but big yourself up. Brian, where I do want to
Yeah.
talk about now is the left wing back, and
Yep.
I've got about half an hour left, so I do want to keep this moving. I don't want to get dragged into any more transfer stuff whatsoever. But Brian, the most interesting call today for me is the left wing back situation. Session has been okay the last 2 games. In my opinion, I actually don't think he's been anything special, like many are saying. And but a lot has been made about some performing better with Session. He plays Cess when he plays with Cess, because Cess isn't he doesn't occupy the spaces going forward that Perisic offers. He's not as offensive as Perisic. But here's what rips me apart, because we know the quality that Perisic does possess,
Yep.
even though he has not shown that at times. So Brian, who starts today, Session or Perisic? Because we all predicted Perisic midweek, but Session played.
So I'm a huge fan of Sessignon. I really, really, really think there's a player in there. I really, really do. And he has started to show in some elements that he is improving. There is no doubt about it. His defensive duties, he's much better than Perisic. Attacking part-wise, he can't even lace his boots. And I could say the same vice versa. And in a game where Everton will flood the midfield and try to outnumber us, his quality of delivering the ball is vital. Is absolutely so important. So I think he is going to go for him. And listen, I'm not buying into this Son Perisic thing. I can see don't get me wrong, I can see where it's coming from. But again, we talk about how, like you said, David, earlier, when players come in, they need to learn the manager's way of play. They need to learn. Not only do they need to learn that, they need to strike up an understanding with each other. Now, we know Son and Kane click like that. And we know certain players can click like that. I think it's just a few teething problems between Son and Perisic that they will wrinkle out by playing minutes together. And I think in a game like this, where I think we will get a lot of opportunities. Let's face it, and I'll give you a stat that you will love, David. Harry Kane normally scores 2 in this game every single time. This is Harry Kane bracing coming is a normal thing against Everton, but this is where, again, set pieces. Everton are a tall, well-organised defensive unit. That's one thing Everton are very good at. Perisic's quality, both on the floor, corners, in the air, for crossing, is second to none. It's second to none. So I think on that note, he will start with Perisic. I really do.
Interesting. It will be interesting to see if Session starts today or is rested for the Man United game. But Jack, basically, I know we rely on the left wing back to defend as well, but should the decision actually solely be based on who works better with Son down that side, so we can get the best of Son Aldo? And do you actually see Conte playing Session for the 3rd time in 7 days?
I think with how Sonny's form has begun this season and how he didn't really start in the best sort of form and in the best sort of ways like we know he can, I think what you do, Dave, is you actually do play the player that he has played the most comfortably with. And if Conte also believes that there is significant sort of evidence, let's say, to suggest that Sonny plays better with Sessegnon at this moment in time, I think in order to get Sonny back and firing, which is ultimately the most important thing, as much as we love Perisic and we know that Perisic is the better player going forward, I think the priority should always be to have Sonny firing, because in order for us to really be challenging for anything this season, we're going to need Sonny at his ultimate peak alongside Harry Kane, and we're going to need to see that telepathic relationship at its best, like we know we can see it. But it might need Sess in order to be there for the time being. I don't want it to be permanently. I want Perisic to be able to bring a similar sort of chemistry and relationship to it. But it does seem like, Dave, there is some sort of evidence to suggest that Sessegnon has had like some sort of unremarkable chemistry with like Sonny. That's not really so obvious, but the results might sort of suggest that there is something there to speak about. And I think what maybe it requires is just Perisic to form that relationship with Sonny off the pitch, because I'd rather just have a fit and firing Sonny as soon as possible than wait for Perisic to catch up. I think Sonny is more important, if I'll put it that way, which is
I
maybe
definitely
not the
agree
best way
with
to put
that.
it.
I definitely agree with that. I think the decision right now until Perisic probably makes himself undroppable, which he hasn't so far. I think he's got to go best on what gets the best out of some. But Philip, last question for you, my man, and then we'll let you go, my man. But don't forget to go before plugging your channel. But with United away on Wednesday, do you see Conte making any changes across the back three today? Right side centre back, left side centre back, or the centre? Maybe rest Romero or Langley for the game at United.
Well, just to give me my tuppence worth on Sessegnon, I don't think Conte's going to risk him 3 games in a week with a dodgy hamstring. So I think Perisic will start today. At the back, I can see Davis coming in for Longley. And I wouldn't make any other changes. I don't want to see Sanchez in for Romero because, I just don't have much faith in that guy, unfortunately. And possibly, if he does go 5, he'll bring Basuma into the middle along with Betancourt and Højbjerg. Not be wholesale changes, but say 2 or 3 changes. Perisic in, Davies in, and Basuma in, I think, might be the... I'd say. Right. Basuma, that's if Carlson isn't fit. If Carlson's fit, then I think he'll play. And it'll be a 3-4-3.
Love it. Love it.
I'm afraid I have to head off, lads, because I'm going to be holidays tomorrow. A few things to do yet. The THFC Till I Die, there's a watch along this evening on that. But next week there's a program starting called News Round, which is going to be a weekly Tottenham news thing, coming up with stuff that maybe doesn't make the headlines too much. It'll be, stuff we'll dig around and get information that might not always make the headlines. So that's coming up someday next week. I'm not quite sure yet. And that is it. And hopefully we get a win. I'm going to go for 3-1 the Spurs as my score prediction.
Come on, Philip. Love that. Phillip. Love that. Everyone, get over, check out THFC Till I Die. Philip, thank you very much for today. People absolutely love you on these match day live shows. So big yourself up.
Well, pleasure with you all again, especially Brian. Always a pleasure to share the screen with Brian.
And you, brother. And you enjoy your holiday. Where are you going? Going anywhere nice?
Well, I'll actually be in Canada in about 2 weeks' time for 1 day. Be in Halifax. Halifax.
Oh, God, yeah. It's only 2.5 hour flight, mate. Enjoy it.
We're taking a boat over to the States. That's one of the stops. It's a funny way.
You and Philip need to set up a Levy debate while you're over there. It'd be brilliant.
Oh, mate, I flew into Halifax when I last flew back to London. Yeah, it's a 2.5 hour flight from Toronto.
But luckily, we have internet on the ship, so you'll not get rid of me for 2 weeks. I'll be dropping in and out whenever I can,
Come on.
Enjoy your holiday, mate. Daily thoughts while you can, because people will be putting...
I'll try and do that. There might be some times when the reception mightn't be good enough, but I'll try and do it. I might pre-record it and send it when I've got signals. It might be a bit erratic, but I'll get it done anyway.
Do it while swimming in the pool.
Just quickly, when are you next going to go to a Spurs game?
Leeds on the 12th of November.
I may be doing the watch along for that game. I may be back in London, and I'll be back till the end of the season. So I'm either doing the watch along or I'll be there. So maybe we'll meet up.
Sure thing. Be a pleasure.
All right, then, buddy. I'll speak to you soon.
See you soon.
Thanks for coming on, my man.
See you soon. What an absolute legend. Enjoy your holiday, brother. What a man Philip Brady is, everybody. Give it up for Philip Brady, getting everybody pumped up for today's game. We've got Super Chat there from Welsh Gal, but I want to talk about the midfield before I take the Super Chat from Welsh Gal, because it moves us nicely into the attacking players. But Jack, I don't really need to give you any invitation here, but Zinedine Salzburg has already scored twice and set up 3 goals this season, and is the only player behind Barcelona's Pedri, who has more pre-assists, which is basically the pass before the assist, than Zinedine Salzburg. So he's second in Europe, across Europe's top 5 leagues, with the pre-assist to the assist. And he's actually been incredible going forward. It's been what's really sort of broke him out this season, in my opinion, is how good he and how he affects the game going forward, which is maybe a lot more than what he done last season. But Jack, Bentancur's also been incredible in keeping the ball moving very, very quickly across that from left to right, but also winning it back. He has the most tackles in our squad this season, second for ground duels won. He's really the stats really show the defensive side of his game, and he's also been a great compliment to Salzburg since he's got here. Now, we know Everton play a 3 in midfield of Onana, Iwobi and Gaya, Jack, and we have struggled against a 3 in midfield this season. But with the form the boys are in, can they cope with Everton's energetic, hard-working midfield in the two, or do you think they possibly need a third to come in here today to help them?
If this was Everton's midfield last season, Dave, I feel like you could just throw Højbjerg in there. That's all you would need. You don't even need Bentancur. You could, take them all, by himself, I would imagine. But I feel like what Brian and I were saying, with those kind of that new blood in that midfield of Everton, I feel like it's working a lot harder. It's a lot more mobile. They're actually not bad on the ball, especially Iwobi. I don't even think Iwobi's that great of a passer. He's actually just what he's good at is, just ball carrying, being able to progress up the pitch. And I feel like, though, Dave, I'm going to answer despite how much credit I've given maybe Everton. And, I must say disappointingly, because I don't like crediting Fat Frank's side. But I think we should still go with two in the midfield if it's available and if we have Richie available for today. We saw them absolutely destroy Frankfurt's midfield. We've seen them boss Brighton's midfield, who did a two-man midfield. And I thought Brighton's midfield is actually quite good. You also look at Fulham's midfield, which they bossed as well. Bentancur and Højbjerg by themselves. It's not like they come up to every team and can, just rock two in the midfield. But I think we have to recognize how good Højbjerg and Bentancur have been playing this season, that there are games, Dave, and there are opponents where I think they can handle it by themselves. And I think some of the stats that you mentioned sort of kind of meant or sort of, reflect that they can handle it by themselves. I mean, in fact, Bentancur, by those stats, Dave, it feels like Bentancur has almost replaced Højbjerg as kind of the water carrier of the midfield. He's doing all the hard defensive work.
Yeah.
In fact, I think Bentancur has the most pressures or something in the whole squad, as well, something that Højbjerg used to absolutely love. So it feels like actually Højbjerg has been more kind of the tempo setter. He's been more of the guy kind of finding the passes, breaking the lines, feeding the strikers. And Bentancur has just been that beautiful, just workhorse in the midfield that's very pretty on the ball, but has also just been an absolute menace when it comes to his work rate. And I actually think today, Dave, they should be able to handle it by themselves, despite maybe Everton's midfield improving a lot. They have improved a lot. I still think they should be able to handle it by themselves. But if we don't have Richie today, I say you do help throw Basuma in there, get that extra pace in there. But I would say Idrissa Gana Gueye is a very hardworking player. Iwobi is something different. Onana is something different. So they're going to be coming up against very hardworking players, Højbjerg and Bentancur. But I feel like they're just going to outclass them, Dave. I think they're just classier than them. They just have, a bit more ability than them. And that's where I feel like they can handle it on their own.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. But Brian, I know we want to have a say on every individual question, but we are running out of time, so I'm going to throw different ones at you guys. Welsh Gal, big up Welsh Gal. Good to see you in the building. She says, I'm in the mood for a Go Fest today. What are the IPAs you have ready for the Go Fest? She says, want Fat Frank to be schooled. Let's be ruthless and not sit back to it.
Come on.
Great content as always. Many thanks, Dave, Jack, Daigle, and the Godfather. Come on, you Spurs. Jack, she says, let's be ruthless and not sit back today.
I don't like Fat Frank, just like Welsh Gal here. I just really would love to see another 5-0 today, especially just because, we'd be able to see his post-match fan cam or his post-match interview, should I say, Welsh Gal, and he'll be blaming his players, throwing them under the bus, perhaps even mentioning something about the transfer window and all those sort of things that we know Frank Lampard loves to complain about. If anything, he loves more than probably ratting on Spurs is, blaming other people than himself. And so I am really looking forward to a nice schooling. That way he wouldn't admit to the schooling. He'll point, the finger someplace else. I'm just looking forward to Conte teaching him a lesson once again. Last time we came up against Everton away from home where we got that draw was Conte's first match of the season. That was against a Rafa Benitez who played very defensive, very negative, and just made it a boring game, let's be honest. Where Frank, he kind of made it more of an exciting game. He played a high line, took some risks, Welsh Gal. And so I think he is naive enough, and I do think he's dumb enough to do that again. So if he does play a high line, and if he does, expose that back line once again, I could see it being a 4-0 or a 5-0. If he plays a deeper defensive kind of team, kind of like Rafa Benitez did, I could see it being a bit cagier.
His hate for Tottenham will get the best of him.
Yeah.
And he'll be naive to what actually suits us. He'll press the high line.
He did that last time.
He played in an era where Tottenham were known for having a soft underbelly. So he's still going to think that we have that and that we're naive. And you look, past few games with some of the late goals we conceded, maybe you could say he's in his right to think that. But at the end of the day, I know when we beat him bad, especially as we did last season, I'll be honest, I think it hurts him more than a lot of results this season because he hates Tottenham. He played for West Ham, played for Chelsea. He absolutely hates Tottenham. So we beat him tonight. I just know he's going to be sitting in there in a dark room, crying, you know what I mean, running on the treadmill to probably try and lose a few pounds, you know what I mean, stuff like that. But it's going to deeply affect him, Welsh Gal. So let's, give this guy some nightmares.
Save some tears for those IPAs, Welsh Gal. Save some Lampard tears for those IPAs.
Big up, Welsh Gal. Really appreciate the support. Guys, we're going to go for about another 10, 15 minutes. So any points, anything like that. I've been so good throughout the stream trying to bring people's comments up. But 10, 15 minutes to go, guys. Feel free to get your super chats in with your points. And we will definitely have a discussion on them before we end off. Brian, Richarlison. He's probably the biggest problem in the 3-4-3 right now, if we're being brutally honest. We know Kulusevski fits it, no problem. But Richarlison, we've played him on the left, we've played him on the right. It's just not working out. Do you think he deserves to retain his place today? Do you think maybe Lucas Moura could be in contention for a start?
So do you know what? Richarlison, when he's come on as a sub on the left, he's done a very good job. But let's not forget, seems to be a problem with Tottenham. He plays as a centre forward for Brazil or on the left for Brazil, like he did for Everton, like he did for Watford. And Tottenham Hotspur bring him in, and Kulusevski gets injured. Oh, we'll play you on the right. That's not his position. That's not his position.
No.
If you don't have a player that can play in that position, then you go to a 3-5-2 where you do have the players to play that position, and then you have the option to bring Richarlison on to make an impact. And we all know that when he came on as an impact in his first few games, he changed the game. Like I said, I've been very critical of him in the last couple of games because his first touch is woeful.
Well, I want to ask you on that, Brian, because I've also been very, very critical of the guy. I think rightly so. You can only critique what you see on the pitch.
Exactly.
You can only praise what you see on the pitch. Like, we don't get any enjoyment sitting here calling players out unless their name's Harry Winks or end on fat ass. But apart from that, I don't get any enjoyment calling anybody else out, if I'm being brutally honest. But Brian, have we maybe been a bit unfair to Richarlison? Because I was thinking about this last night deeply. It's kind of like, being honest, the guy's been thrown in the deep end because of the injuries to Lucas Moura, because of the injuries to Kulusevski. And it's kind of like, if we didn't have them injuries, would he be afforded the same time that Basuma or Spence have been afforded to get up to date with the tactics? Have someone like me, who's called them out, been a bit harsh on the guy?
No, like you said, I mean, do you know what? I'll give you an example. I went on We Are Tottenham TV after the Frankfurt game, and I said what everyone was thinking. But every single comment in YouTube is, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know. I'm always so negative. I'm not going to come on and go, well, Richarlison, well done, 10 out of 10 for doing absolutely nothing. I mean, you're on the pitch, so you get 10 out. I call it, like you said, a lot of us come on here, and you said it's a big deal when you come on here and you open yourself up to millions or hundreds of thousands, whatever, in the comments. And Richarlison, the last couple of games, has not been himself. But like you said, and we have to look at this, we are playing it. This is another part where when I said with the window, if we'd had, yes, injuries come and you have to deal with them. But why sign a striker that plays striker and left and then say, right, because we've got no other options, I'm going to put you on the right, when you could go 3-5-2 and keep that guy fresh. Now, as I said to you before the Brighton game, Harry Kane keeps picking up these little knocks, and it looked like he picked up another one against Frankfurt again. And you're like, whoa. If he had,
if you would have called for it in any other in like a League Cup game, FA Cup game, or a team against a relegation in the relegation zone, I probably would have agreed with you. But the fact it was we were away from home. He's our top scorer. Our forward line aren't playing so well, and he's the only one that's getting the goals at the minute. So that's why I actually wanted Kane to play. But I take your point about the injuries. Like, it is going to happen. Although he's got a guy in to help him, and we be honest, he's been a lot less injured since this guy has come in to help him than what he was before that. But
this is the thing, David. Like I said, because if he had, let's just say, heaven forbid, it doesn't happen, Harry Kane did pick up an injury in one of these 3 games. Who's the attacking player coming on to help him and change the game? There's no one.
That's what Rich is supposed to be.
There you go. And Lucas Moura, listen, I'm a fan of his. I love his dedication to the club. I love his. And the one thing I hate from him is his inconsistency. That's the one thing I hate. You just don't know what you're going to get from him. It's why I call him the Brazilian Darren Huckabee, because he just puts his head down and runs, and where he ends up, he ends up. But this is the problem. So I think the 3-5-2, like I said, like Jack said, 3-4-3, 3-5-2, takes some of that burden off of Richarlison. When he does come on, it's against his old team. But all right, let's take it out his old team. He comes on. If he comes on in a 2, he knows what he's doing. He can play in that 2, and either one, he can play in that position. And then also, midfield is vital. And why I say 3-5-2 today, you got to think we've got Everton, then United, then another game, then another game. And we've got to wait till Kulusevski comes back. He's picked up another knock, which we weren't. Or it's really not the best. And you've got to play. What we've got to start doing is not saying, 3-4-3 is our best formation. We can go and blitz them. The way we're going to win games is matching up teams that may cause us an issue and saying, right, whatever option you've got right now, whether we play 3-4-3 or 3-5-2, I can nullify your biggest threat. If it's your defence that needs hammering, I'm going to go 3-4-3 because my 3 can just. But if it's midfield, like the filth game, where you overload it and cut off our supply, well, guess what? I can match you up there as well. And I can tell you now, whether it be Basuma, Højbjerg last Wednesday, my God, what a performance once again from that man. Unbelievable. He is on fire. But you could go him, Bentancur, Basuma, or Skip, or whatever. There's
have Basuma and Skip been it's all well and good just calling for an extra man in midfield, but have they actually took their minutes they've been afforded? Have they done good enough? My answer is no. I think Skip looked way off it against Frankfurt. No, I'm not having a dig at the guy. I think he's going to be a tremendous player for Tottenham in the future, but he needs games. He's been out for so long. He's not up to match speed. Basuma came in against West Ham, was utterly useless that day.
Yep.
Played well when he came on against Leicester. Against Brighton, he was okay. I didn't think he'd done anything special. But then bring him on against Frankfurt, and they get back into the game. So have they done enough to come into midfield?
I think Basuma is deserving of a start at home. Not coming off to change games or keep games tight, where I want him, fresh as everyone, starting the game so he can put his foot on the game from the very beginning. Not come in at the end. I mean, let's face it.
Right, that's what he has to do when he comes to a new club. He has to expect that.
I get that as well. But when you say Basuma didn't really do much, they came back into the game. Kane also missed his penalty. If Kane had scored that penalty, not having a dig at Kane and made that 4-2.
Look, Kane's got 9 goals this season.
No. I'm just saying when it was 3-2.
So how can we compare the two?
No. What I'm just saying, when it was 3-2, if Kane had converted that penalty at the end when they were right on the attack. We wouldn't have been going, oh my God, this is like West Ham all over. Oh, no. Because it would have been 4-2 and one goal wouldn't have made a difference. I think Basuma, as we've been hearing this week, Conte is now getting more belief and understanding in him.
Yeah.
And I think starting a home game where the fans are all on his side and he can impact the game from the beginning, then we can say, right, this is it will come up to debate again.
I do understand what you're saying. And look, in an ideal world, that'd be nice. But we've got to understand he's stepping up from Brighton, who, let's be honest, they've never played European football. They don't compete at the top of the Premier League like we do. I know they may sit up around there, but ultimately they're going to go back down to where they genuinely level out as. And it's kind of like Basuma has to come in here and he has to expect that he's going to have to learn to impact games off the bench to take his minutes to get into the first team. We can't go back to where we were at Tottenham, where we're handing out starts to people who don't deserve it, who haven't done enough, who even in previous games where they've come off the bench and hasn't impacted the game. So he has to expect with a step up in level. He also has to expect that his minutes are not going to be like what they were at Brighton. He's not just going to be handed a starting jersey like many fans predicted. He has to earn it, and we have to get used to that.
Where you got to come into that as well, David, is Richarlison, as we were saying, isn't playing well on the right. Is it worth sacrificing him, or whatever your word you want to use, to put him on the bench, to give Basuma this game at home, like Adrian Schrocker said, where if you believe in the stats and everything, this is a team that we have taken the most Premiership points out of. We average over 3 goals a game against them. Every single stat, when you try to look at this game in a positive light, all reflects on us. So is this, like I said, I would love to see Spence have his first start, not in this game, but at home. Ease him in, say, right, listen, welcome to Tottenham. We've all wanted, if you see Spence on that starting lineup or whatever game it may be, on the right, the whole crowd will be like, yes, here we go, Spence is on the ball, and they will be urging him and want him in on. We all want to see Basuma. We all know how good Bissouma can be. Like you said, you're right. He's got to prove it to us with the minutes that he gets. But when he's only getting these minutes sparingly, yes, he's doing well in trade, whatever. I think 90 minutes or started today, where he can put his stamp of authority on that game immediately, especially with their big midfield running.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but we're not a charity. We don't just hand out things to people. You've got to earn it. We're an elite level sports club. Like, we can't just
let me try and make my point this easier. Would you rather go 3-4-3 and risk Richarlison playing at the right and not having his game, or being like he has been the last 3 games, or go 3-5-2 and have a Bissouma with Richarlison able to come on and change the game in an attacking way?
I prefer the 3-4-3. I think we create a lot more chances in it. I think that was proven against Brighton. We started with 3-5-2, didn't create chances, but we create chances in the 3-4-3 the week before that against Frankfurt, the game after that against Frankfurt. When we switched to a 3-5-2 in the Frankfurt game, they gained control of the game. But when we switched back to a 3-4-3 and brought Gil and Lucas on, we went on to create more chances again. And for me, I just think we create more chances in a 3-4-3. But look, if Richarlison has an injury, I mean, why can't we bring the Gil Messi in? You know, he performed against Frankfurt when he came off the bench. You never know, Brian. But look, I'm going to ask Jack on this because I have one question.
Can I just say one thing I want to say to you? I'll tell you what, if we play 3-4-3 and Richarlison has a blinder, I will go on We Are Tottenham TV and what shall I say this time instead of that? Last time it was training.
I don't even know if Richarlison's playing. Everybody in the comments.
Because I actually agree with you on Richarlison. I don't think he's took his minutes. I'll be honest. I don't. I think he's done well coming off the bench. He done well against Fulham. He done well against Marseille. But apart from that, he hasn't really done enough. So when Kula comes back, I expect him to walk straight back into the team. But we all want Richarlison to play well today. We hope he does. And hopefully he does against Everton. But look, with Kane, it was different, Brian, because I completely disagree. But with Richarlison, I actually agree with you, to be honest. So we won't have any Richarlison in just yet. I think it's too soon. But Jack, Gil Messi is a player who many have doubted, but he showed glimpses of his star quality with his cameo from the bench against Frankfurt, where he impressed. And I'll say that again for people, where he impressed. He won a penalty, Jack. Could have scored a goal as well if the ball was better from Harry Kane. Should Conte reward with Gil Messi in some way, shape, or form today with minutes again, whether it's off the bench for a few minutes again at the end, or whether he gets a bit more?
It's a bit tricky, Dave, because he learned his lesson, you could say, Conte, by putting on all those substitutions when we were 3-1 up. I don't think Gil Messi did anything wrong. Let's be honest. He actually kind of saved the game for us. In fact, he gave us 2 opportunities to go 5-2, basically, to make it an easy, fun game for us. But unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. But I think, Dave, he probably should get that opportunity if we are in a 3-1 position again, maybe. I as much as I love Gil Messi, level game, maybe not, especially if Richarlison is available for this one. You certainly don't start him. Maybe you bring him on when you're 3-1 up.
Today, even if Richarlison is fit, though, even if Richarlison is injured, I still think it's a big risk to stand today. Do you think so?
To still start Richie despite the injury?
No, start Gil if
no. As delusional as I am, Dave, I would never say start him. I would say he still needs to earn his minutes and he needs to take his opportunities. Like you just pointed out, I mean, as much as I would love to give Hill a leg up above anybody else, I would say he needs to take his opportunities as much as anybody else does. But let's be honest, he kind of has. He's impressed since coming on. He's only been given he's almost been given less than Bergwijn minutes, and he's kind of done quite well with it so far. So I think Dave would be 3-1 up, similar scenario. Maybe not throw on like 10 substitutions, but definitely throw on Hill.
100%. And look, hopefully we get the game done nice and early so we can see Gil Messi and Spectacular. So hopefully we get to see them 2 guys today. Last talking point we're going to do on Sunny, and then I need to end off because I need to get over to We Are Tottenham TV. Dave, are you with me today?
I don't know. What time are you starting?
4,
which is 11. I highly doubt it because I've got to get a shower, and then I've got to go pick up Ben and meet Ben, and then so I'll try. Send me the link, and maybe me and Ben will pop on as a surprise guest when I meet up with him. I just can't be there.
I'm just asking because I don't even know who's lined up today. I haven't even checked. I'll have a look, but anyway, I'll send you the thing. But just quickly, I just got something I need to deal with. Public nuisance. I mean, more like public idiot. I mean, let's be honest, right? You said earlier on Spurs are like a failure. I'm sorry, but it was actually your manager dubbed the specialist in failure. So do not come at Tottenham Hotspur about being failures when your manager, but an ex-Spurs manager, Jose Mourinho, even though he done it at Chelsea, he called Wenger a specialist in failure. Not only that, but you also called him a voyeur, which is, if anyone doesn't know what a voyeur is, look up the definition. I don't know how Jose got away with it, but it's absolutely unbelievable. So please don't come at us when your managers get absolutely ridiculed every single time they take over at your club. So absolutely do one. And for that, I hope you get slapped tomorrow. I really do. Adrian Chia says, any thoughts on letting Kane take more than one penalty per game? No, look, for me, I'll be honest, he's missed 2 this season, unlike Harry, but look, Harry Kane's just got to take the penalties. It's that simple. It's just that simple. He takes the penalties. Free kicks, he should be off. I agree with that. But Adrian, penalties, I mean, if anyone else stepped up, I'd be nervous. Harry Kane steps up. I just think he's going to score, my man. Let's not go because he missed that game.
Just got to say on that one as well, sorry. Harry Kane may have missed a couple of penalties, but if you go back to look at every single penalty he's taken, and there are a lot of penalties, never once has one been hit as bad as that one. I don't know if there was a problem in the divot in the grass. I don't know if it was him at that moment lap of him. He will never, ever.
NFL, he was auditioning for the Green Bay Packers.
Probably that, my friend, yeah, because he will never listen. The goalkeeper saved the penalty, he saved it. If it hits the bar or the post, Harry Kane does not miss by that amount on a penalty, or that is not a Harry Kane penalty. That is one to say that is a one-off that will never, ever, 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 ever happen again.
He scored more clutch penalties before. He scored very clutch penalties, and so yeah, give him the benefit 100%. Of the doubt.
And Jack, I'm going to end off with this question with you, my man. Then we're going to put the challenge. And we're going to get out of here. Sonny looked a lot better against Brighton and Frankfurt recently. He's starting to come back to his very best. And for the reason why I say that, Jack, it's the sharpness is back there. You know, the confidence to take people on again. Are we seeing glimpses of the Sonny that we know? And can he have a big game today? Are there goals for him today against the Everton backline? I think there is.
I think if Fat Frank goes with that high line again, it's just bread and butter for the likes of Sonny, whether it's a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3. Because let's be honest, he played in the 3-4-3 last time out against Frankfurt, and he had a field day against them, I thought. And I thought he looked exceptional in that game. And I think Sonny is starting to look like the old Sonny, or not even the old Sonny. We're just starting to see, the Sonny that we know is in there, the Sonny that we know is world class. He caused absolute torment to that Frankfurt team. And Dave, I mean, he basically deserved a hat trick because he should have won a penalty as well for us, if I recall, too. He was causing them that much trouble. And I could see if they put up a similar high line, the likes of Everton, that Frankfurt did. Frankfurt played a high line. If Everton do the same, I think if you get Sonny in that same kind of patch of form, or if he's playing to that same level he was against Frankfurt, I don't know, Dave, you could see a sending off yet again. You could see the likes of Tarkowski pick up an early yellow. You could see one of their right backs picking up an early yellow or whatever. I could see Sonny causing them some absolute nightmares.
I really do hope so.
I've seen him improve game by game by game by game, and I think that Frankfurt game was a great example of like starting to see glimpses of that world-class Sonny again.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And then Adrian Chia says, Jose Mourinho let the cat out of the bag on Kane's penalty training. 100%, my man. 100%. But if you watch a lot of Kane's penalties, they're that good. They hit the side of the net every single time.
Yeah. Not just his penalties. Not just his penalty. I watched the thing, because I said this to Brian Ireland, about Harry Kane knowing his angles. And do you know, out of his over 200 goals, over 85 of them have hit the side netting. And it's because of his angles. And they all say if you hit that side netting, the goalkeeper can't save it. That's how good that shot's placed. And he is the master of that.
He knows the angles better than the keeper.
100%. 100%. Big up, Adrian Chia. Really appreciate support. And Mick Lawley, in the words of Richarlison, cry more, peasant. But look, honestly, I hate Arsenal fans. I hate them. Especially the ones that come in here thinking they're fucking Real Madrid. You know, it's like, seriously, you haven't been in Champions League in what, 6, 7, 8 years now? Just please pipe down and stop. And just
shows how sad they are, that their team's not even playing. They got nothing to do on a Saturday. And it's like, what should I do? I've got no friends to play with or work to do. I know what. I'll jump onto a Spurs channel and just waste my time
I'll be honest. I can be guilty of it at times. I go into Everton chats. I go into Liverpool chats, Arsenal chats. I can't be guilty of it at times. It is a bit of a pleasure of mine.
Watch, I just don't see the point in giving, especially when we do what we do. It's just when I say we do what we do, I mean when we fall off of when we always that game that has to be won, we drop it. Then you're opening yourself up for trouble. I watch these things. I never ever comment on them.
Interesting. I do. Sometimes I can't help it. Sometimes I love rubbing it in how crap their club are. But look, we're going to end off here because I do have to head over to We Are Tottenham TV. I have 5 minutes left before I have to go over there. Diego, what can people find coming up on your channel?
Yeah, right. But at the moment, like I said, I really wish I could tell you. There's a lot going on with myself. Won't go into details, obviously, but I could be coming home for a long time because me and my wife are fine. There's just some outgoing issues that just need to be eradicated, and the way I can do it is by coming home and earning some good money in England. So I could be home, and Bride Island's currently away, and Danny and Ben, there's a lot going on. But when we do come back, this is the one thing I will say: we've always had this where we stop, we start, we go, and then something's come up, whether it be work, whatever. We will be back, and we will be back soon. But we don't want to come back just to do an odd show here, an odd show there. We want to come back where, like you guys, we have a schedule that we can all adhere to. We have regular shows that we can give to you guys, and we were going to do memberships this season, but it's not fair that we start charging memberships, and at the moment we don't know what content we can give you. It's not fair, and we don't want to just take memberships for the sake of we get £2, £5, whatever we charge. So we will be back. We will be bigger, bolder, and better than ever. It's just at the moment there are some issues. But if you do want to follow us and help us grow, you can find us at Tottenham on Tour.
There you are, guys. Get over there and check it out. There you go. Big yourself up, my man. And look, I get what you're saying about apologising about the not regular content, but, we're all human and we know that things in life happen. You know what I mean, brother? So, no need to apologise, my man. Just make sure you look after yourself, my man. Jacko, flatcapeurotalk, brother. Let's go.
I was going to say, speaking of which, Dago, I have less excuses than you guys, and I'm not putting much up on Flatcap. So once I put something up there, everybody, please do check it out. I would say what I've continued to plug is if you are maybe looking for something very non-Spurs related, check out my kind of manager profile that I put out. And it's a very attractive bit of football, I would say, is what he plays over there. So maybe you might like it. But Dave, I'm getting a bit of motivation, getting a bit of energy. So I do expect some content to come out very soon. So everybody just to hit the subscribe. So then you maybe pops up on your feed every once in a while. Appreciate it.
Also, just one big thing. I just want to give one big shout out to someone. It's the 3 Spurs boys. And if anyone's going to the game today or you're watching, Little K is actually going to be a virtual mascot today.
Nice.
So Little K is going to be, so I don't know how they do it or what they're doing. He was meant to come to the yard, but he's doing his Tottenham virtual mascot stuff right here, right now. So if anyone's at the game, I can get a picture. If you see Little K come up, trust me, you'll know him. He's the one with the big hair. Please take a photo because obviously they'll get to see it, whatever. But yeah. Keep an eye out for Little K from the 3 Spurs boys being a virtual mascot of the game today.
Big up. That'd be awesome. I may actually find out how he gets on. But guys, I want to say a massive thank you to Philip, to Brian, to Jack for coming on. Here for all the pump ups as well. Absolutely love them. So big yourselves up, guys. I think between the 4 of us, we really do have good discussions. We go at each other as well in a respectful way, which I do like. So it's absolutely brilliant. And guys, the most important, I want to say a massive thank you to you guys out there who continue to back us the way you do, who continue to smash the like, tune into every stream, help support the channel, whether it be memberships or super chats. You guys are absolutely awesome. And let's go and get the win for everybody today. Let's sail into the midweek game against United with the 3 points. Hopefully we see some minutes from Gil Messi, Spence-tacular, maybe Basuma as well. That would be nice. Let's get minutes into some players' legs today. Let's beat Fat Frank. Let's give him a schooling. And let's make them live up to their nickname, the Tin Pot Toffees. Guys, see you back here in 5 o'clock. Jack will be kicking off the watch along. Myself and Sean will be barreling in as soon as we're finished on We're Talking TV. Let's all enjoy the same vibes we did last week. Come on, you Spurs.
In Conte we trust.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Everywhere we go.